In a perfect Pacific setting, the best of the boys of summer will be playing baseball here tonight at beautiful San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. We here would like to think of this as our little convention, and so come on in and enjoy a beautiful Southern California setting. The starting lineups, of course, were democratically elected by the fans, and the managers filled in the remaining spots, ever mindful of the mandate to include at least one representative from each team. You know, the All-Star Game is a special event, not only for the fans, but also for the players, especially the 24 first-time All-Stars, such as Biff Roberts of Cincinnati.
This girls will make it tough. We're going to have fun here at the Merc today. Showtime.
And we all hope to have a little fun tonight and hopefully a little showtime. Hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome to CBS Sports' coverage of the 63rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game. You know, Ryan Sandberg told me yesterday, this is where lasting friendships are made. And tonight, we hope that some of these newfound friends will also create a few lasting memories. Well, a short time ago, All-Star managers Tom Kelly and Bobby Cox were in their respective clubhouses to deliver tonight's keynote addresses.
We'll start off, Robbie Alomar start off the game hitting first, probably hit a single or a double and steal third, and Wade will get him in. Then Puckett will bunt for a hit, and Joe Carter will drive him around first and third. McGuire can hit something somewhere, sacrifice fly or whatever. Then Mr. Ripken Jr. can pick up some of those pieces in case Mr. Glavin's still in the game. Griffey will probably have a hard time with him. But then we got Sandy on the backside, pick him up, okay?
Just like to congratulate everybody on this team, and I know it's an honor for you and especially an honor for me to be a part of it, and our coaching staff. And I'll do the best, and our coaches will do the best we can to get everybody in a game. One thing, you know, they always preach winning and this and that, and as you know, Bill White is retiring after this year out of the National League presidency, and Bill has never won one of these games. And Willie Mays in here knows what a great competitor Bill was, and he's talked to me the last 2 days, and he definitely wants to win, just like we do, okay?
I think I might introduce Willie Mays. Although the National League leads the series 37-24 with one tie, the American League has won the last 4 All-Star games. We're going to take a look at Mike Sharperson of the Dodgers. He tried to get his 71-year-old father to come to the game from Orangeburg, South Carolina, but Daddy doesn't fly, and so his son will talk to his dad from the game on a portable phone and tell him the sights and the sounds. Well, that's one highlight from Mike Sharperson. Everybody here yesterday, the highlight was Mark McGuire's performance in the Home Run Derby. At one point, folks, McGuire blasted 8 dingers in a row, and these just weren't over the fence. His teammates wanted to carry him off on a Sudan chair. At one point, Joe Carter came up, thought he was getting a little tired, and so he put some water on him and gave him a little pat on that arm, that big arm, and he went back out there and said, go get another one. McGuire refreshed, hit number 12. He ties Cal Ripken Jr.'s record. The Fast brother still thinking about it today. He talked to Jim Cott.
It was a great reaction. I was shocked just because I'm pretty bad at hitting home runs in BP. I'm not the best at doing that, and it's tough because usually the guy that's throwing the ball isn't throwing that hard, and yesterday he was throwing real good. He found a spot right where I was swinging, and I hit 12 out.
Let me tell you something. If you were there, that is one lasting memory. As you look around tonight, though, try to imagine what it must have been like back in the 30s when there were 2 All-Star games, one for whites and one for blacks. When we come back, we'll show you some Hall of Famers who should have been playing alongside the Babe and the Iron Horse, but couldn't. That story and more as our coverage of the 63rd All-Star Game rolls on from California's oldest city, right here on CBS.
This special All-Star edition of Baseball 92 is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who brings you the 1992 Major League All-Star Game with aerial footage provided by the Bud One airship. Nothing beats a Bud.
And get into bed before the room got dark. Recently, I caught up with some of the Negro League greats, ball players who were victims of a terrible circumstance, baseball's color line.
One day we were sitting in the stands in South America, and the president of down there,
He says, why can't you play in the big league? You can play here. I said, you'll have to ask the 2 Grand Dragons of the Ku Klux. He said, who are those? I said, J. Edgar Hoover and George Ladner. He said, you are so right.
Everybody didn't just hate the blacks. The guys used to tell us, it's a shame you guys couldn't play in the big leagues. It's a shame you couldn't play with this team, that team. You guys are good.
We were Major League ball players. We were at the top.
And there they were, nameless faces, faceless names, playing America's national pastime as well as any all-star. They were the Negro superstars, and it was indeed a league of their own. Big leaguers, every one of them, but the big league door said no colored allowed. Rube Foster, he founded the Negro National League. His vision back in the 20s when they met at the YMCA in Kansas City was to show America that the coloreds could throw, catch, and hit too. Just when the Negro League started to make news and sense, Baseball Commissioner Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis said, they're not organized. Hall of Famer Buck Leonard replied, we were organized, we just weren't recognized. But hard to be recognized in this country where off the field bigotry and racism prevailed.
The filling station, they didn't want you to go in the restroom.
Some places we go, we couldn't get, a good meal.
Nobody would accept us any place on the highway. So we didn't even try. It was no use.
But they'd come and watch your games, wouldn't they?
Oh, yes.
No team had greater athletes in attendance than Gus Greenlee's, a numbers runner who owned the Pittsburgh Crawfords. Some said the Crawfords could beat the 27 Yankees.
5 guys from that ball club is in the Hall of Fame now. 5 from that one ball club. Satchel was on that ball club. Josh Gibson was on that ball club. Judy Johnson was on that ball club. Oscar Charlton was on that ball club. And Cool Papa Bell. This just could have been the greatest ball club ever.
Here on the south side of Chicago, this parking lot is where old Comiskey Park used to stand in all its glory, except for home plate there. It is but a memory, a good one. From 1933 on, though, this is where they played the East-West game, the Negro All-Star game, and the tabloids from all across the country called it the greatest colored sporting event of every year. And you know what? Decades later, you can still hear the echoes.
And I walked out of the dugout and looked up and almost fainted. I'd never seen that many people before in my life.
It was a gala affair, just like championship heavyweight bout.
East-West game was a spectacle. There would be 50,000 plus people in the stand.
Well, somebody had to notice, so enter Branch Rickey. 26 years after Rube Foster founded the Negro National League, Rickey took a Negro leaguer named Jackie Robinson from the Kansas City Monarchs to the history books. But for most Negro League All-Stars, it was way too late.
If you made a good catch, you came through with a hit at the right time, and to have your teammates accept you, to have the fans to accept you, that is what we played for.
I love to play baseball, I would have played anywhere. It didn't make any difference to me. We'd play in the States in the summer. We'd go to Puerto Rico, Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela in the winter. So I had a good life. Baseball.
And there he is, Leon Day. He should be in the Hall of Fame next. And some of the other greats of the Negro Leagues invited here as honored guests by Major League Baseball. By the way, there are 2 organizations helping the ball players from that era, the Baseball Assistance Team and the Negro League Baseball Players Association. They are great guys. And on deck, we'll meet this year's All-Stars, and we continue live from the Murph in a moment. Stay with us. Pat O'Brien and company to welcome you back to San Diego, and as we draw closer to this Midsummer's Night Dream game, it's time now to meet the All-Stars. And at the public address microphone is Bruce Binkowski.
And now, the American League All-Stars. The trainers from the New York Yankees, Gene Monahan, and from the California Angels, Ned Bergert. The batting practice staff from the Minnesota Twins, in the bullpen, Dick Such, Wayne Terwilliger, and in the bullpen, Rick Stelmasic. The coaches from the Kansas City Royals, Hal McRae, And from the New York Yankees, Buck Showalter. And now the players for the American League. From the Baltimore Orioles, outfielder Brady Anderson. And the pitcher, Mike Mussina. From the Boston Red Sox, pitcher Roger Clemens. From the California Angels, pitcher Mark Langston. From the Chicago White Sox, third baseman Robin Ventura. And the pitcher Jack McDowell. From the Cleveland Indians, infielder Carlos Baerga. And the pitcher Charles Nagy. From the Detroit Tigers, infielder Travis Fryman. From the Kansas City Royals, pitcher Jeff Montgomery. From the Milwaukee Brewers, infielder Paul Molitor. From the Minnesota Twins, infielder Chuck Knobloch. And the pitcher, Rick Aguilera. From the New York Yankees, outfielder Roberto Kelly. From the Oakland Athletics, pitcher Dennis Eckersley. From the Seattle Mariners, infielder Edgar Martinez. From the Texas Rangers, catcher Ivan Rodriguez. And outfielder Ruben Sierra. From the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Juan Guzman. And now, the American League starting lineup. First, the manager. From the Minnesota Twins, Tom Kelly. Leading off from the Toronto Blue Jays, second baseman Roberto Alomar. Batting second from the Boston Red Sox, third baseman Wade Boggs. Hitting third from the Minnesota Twins, left fielder Kirby Puckett. Batting fourth from the Toronto Blue Jays, right fielder Joe Carter. Hitting fifth from the Oakland Athletics, first baseman Mark McGuire. Batting sixth from the Baltimore Orioles, shortstop Cal Ripken Jr. Batting seventh from the Seattle Mariners, center fielder Ken Griffey Jr. Hitting eighth from the Cleveland Indians, catcher Sandy Alomar. And warming up in the bullpen from the Texas Rangers, tonight's starting pitcher, Kevin Brown. And now, the National League All-Stars. First, the trainers From the Los Angeles Dodgers, Bill Bueller. And from the San Diego Padres, Bob Day. The batting practice staff from the Atlanta Braves, Jimmy Williams. Clarence Jones. And in the bullpen, Leo Mazzoni. The coaches from the San Francisco Giants, Roger Craig. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Joe Torre. And now the players from the National League. From the Atlanta Braves, outfielder Ron Gant. And the pitcher, John Smoltz. From the Chicago Cubs, pitcher Greg Maddux. From the Cincinnati Reds, outfielder Biff Roberts. And the pitcher, Norm Charlton. From the Houston Astros, infielder Craig Biggio. And the pitcher, Doug Jones. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, infielder Mike Sharperson. From the Montreal Expos, pitcher Dennis Martinez. And outfielder Larry Walker. From the New York Mets, pitcher David Cone. From the Philadelphia Phillies, catcher Darren Dalton. And the first baseman, John Kruk. From the St. Louis Cardinals, catcher Tom Pagnozzi. Pitcher Bob Tewksbury. And the pitcher Lee Smith. From the San Diego Padres, infielder Tony Fernandez. Infielder Gary Sheffield. From the San Francisco Giants, first baseman Will Clark. And now, the National League starting lineup. First, the manager of the National League from the Atlanta Braves, Bobby Cox. Leading off from the St. Louis Cardinals, shortstop Ozzie Smith. Batting second from the San Diego Padres, right fielder Tony Gwynn. fielder, Barry Bonds.
Let's go.
Batting fourth from the San Diego Padres, first baseman, Fred McGriff. Fifth from the Atlanta Braves, third baseman Terry Pendleton. Batting sixth from the Pittsburgh Pirates is center fielder Andy Van Slyke. Hitting seventh from the Chicago Cubs, second baseman Ryne Sandberg. Batting eighth from the San Diego Padres, catcher Benito Santiago. Warming up in the bullpen, tonight's starting pitcher from the Atlanta Braves, Tom Glavine. And now, to honor the two great nations in which Major League Baseball is played, please rise and welcome a Tony Award winner, Len Cariou, as he sings "O Canada."
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now, please join the EMI recording artist and Grammy Award winner Wilson Phillips as they sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, stay just that star-spangled banner yet wave.
like it, don't you think? Our CBS Sports coverage of the 63rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game will continue after a message from your local stations. The highway after him. And there's a familiar face, the President of the United States, George Bush, an avid baseball fan.
Here we go.
I think he got it over the plate. It doesn't matter, folks. He is Ted Williams and a former baseball star from Yale. A nice moment. I suppose it's appropriate here in San Diego to turn the proceedings over now to a pair of Big Macs, Tim McCarver and Sean McDonough. Gentlemen, have a good one.
Thank you very much, Pat, and good evening, everybody. What a nice moment that was, not only for Ted Williams, but that was his son, John Henry, alongside. Tim, they say that good pitching will always beat good hitting, and certainly in recent All-Star Game history, that has been the case. Over the last 8 years, there's been a total of only 37 runs scored. Should we look for another pitcher's game here tonight?
I think all things point to another low-scoring All-Star Game, what with the winningest pitchers in baseball going against one another, Tommy Glavine and Kevin Brown. The last time that happened, back in 1971, however, Doc Ellis pitched for the National League against Vida Blue for the American League, and there were 6 home runs hit and 10 runs scored. Of course, it's twilight time, but there's no sun out, and I think that's going to help the hitters a lot.
So perhaps some unexpected fireworks here in San Diego tonight as the American League is looking for its 5th straight win. It would be the American League's longest All-Star Game winning streak ever. And how bad has it been for the NL in recent years? Not a single member of this year's National League squad has ever knocked in a run in All-Star Game competition. The first pitch after this. Welcome back to San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, site of the 63rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And for the second straight year, it's left-hander Tom Glavine of the Atlanta Braves to start for the National League.
Tom Glavine with the winningest record in the National League, 13 wins. Kevin Brown, his opponent, with 14 wins. You can look for the fastball inside and outside to right-handers, a devastating changeup, and his breaking ball is his 3rd best pitch. Backing up, Tom Glavine glittered with gold. 37 gold gloves on the defense tonight. Barry Bonds in left field. Andy Van Slyke with 3 straight gold gloves in center. Tony Gwynn will be the right fielder. Terry Pendleton's first All-Star Game at 3rd base. Ozzie Smith will be the shortstop. Ryan Sandberg at second base. San Diego's own Fred McGriff at first. Benito Santiago behind the plate.
Tom Glavine, the first senior circuit pitcher to start in back-to-back years since Robin Roberts 37 years ago. He said in 1992 he was out to prove that 1991 and his Cy Young Award was no fluke. And he's made that point very clearly. Tom Glavine is again his league's best pitcher. And with his first pitch of this 1992 All-Star Game, he truly has achieved stardom. We're underway. Roberto Alomar with a swing and a miss for strike 1. Alomar at .323, 6 homers, 45 driven in. He'll be followed by Wade Boggs and Kirby Puckett. It's quickly 0-2. The umpires with the honor of working this game: Doug Harvey of the National League behind the plate, Rich Garcia at first, Harry Wendelstedt at second, Greg Kosk at third, Tom Hallion along the left field line, and Tim Sheeta in right. On the ground to second, Brian Sandberg to Fred McGriff for the first out of the 1992 All-Star Game.
We mentioned it in the opening. Fortunately, no shadows with which to contend by the hitters. So the hitters are very, very happy. It is an overcast evening here in San Diego. Much easier to see.
Wade Boggs enduring the worst of his 10 seasons in Major League Baseball. He's never hit below 300 in the major leagues. He's at 263 at the moment. Tom Glavine has yet to throw Wade Boggs an all-star strike. Last year he faced his idol, Wade Boggs, and walked him on 4 pitches in the All-Star Game at Toronto. Glavine grew up admiring Wade Boggs and suburban Boston. He's from Billerica, Massachusetts, and he said yesterday, I should at least be able to throw him one strike this time, but he hasn't yet. It's 2-0.
Wade Boggs, his 7th consecutive start, and that is the all-time record for American League third baseman. A lot of those out here in Southern California.
Ready to go after the beach ball delay, and Boggs sends it straight back. Finally, Tom Glavine has thrown Wade Boggs a strike in all-star competition. Boggs usually rises to the occasion in this spotlight. He's hoping this all-star game will serve as a springboard for the second half of the year. That's a foul ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. The bases are empty in the top of the first.
Tommy Glavine, the 11th National League pitcher to start 2 consecutive years. Our Major League pitcher, you mentioned Robin Roberts back in 53, 4, and 5 earlier. The last time an American League pitcher did it, Dave Steve did it back in 1983 and 84.
The 2-2. Breaking ball fouled straight back. Wade Boggs has never struck out in all-star competition in 19 plate appearances. Only Charlie Gehringer, Red Schoendienst, and Ron Santo have had more all-star plate appearances without ever striking out. Up the middle, a base hit. Wade Boggs, the game's first base runner. With Wade Boggs at first, we get our first look at base cam. We have a camera inside the first base bag that will give you a unique view of the runners as they take their leads.
You might know that one of the slower runners on either side will be leading off. Not much of a chance for Wade Boggs to be running. Only 1 stolen base this year.
Kirby Puckett sends the first pitch out of play.
So much for childhood idols, by the way.
That's right.
Wade Boggs, as Sean mentioned, the childhood idol of Tommy Glavine, and he rips one back through the box right off the glove of Glavine.
Puckett with a little pop-up in shallow center. Late start for Van Slyke, and it falls in. So perhaps the hitters won't be the only ones affected by the twilight at game time, as Andy Van Slyke, a Gold Glove outfielder, got a very late jump on that looping single into center for Kirby Puckett.
Van Slyke's first step was back, and then by the time he broke in, Kirby Puckett, who had hit the ball off the end of the bat, Van Slyke had no chance for it. So I guess it would probably affect the fielders more than it would the hitters. 4 straight Gold Gloves for Andy Van Slyke.
Joe Carter, a late entry into the starting lineup. He got the starting nod against Tom Glavine when Jose Canseco had to be scratched with a shoulder injury. Fouled back to the screen. Wasn't it wonderful to hear the great hands during the introductions, Tim, not only for the 5 current San Diego Padres, but for the 6 former Padres, including Joe Carter.
I think the 6 ex-Padres and Bip Roberts started it all. Bip now with Cincinnati. I think theirs were at least as loud as the current Padres. A lot of Padres here tonight.
Base hit for Carter. Boggs is a slow runner, but he's being waved in and then stopped at the last moment by Buck Showalter. And it's a good thing for the American League that Boggs was stopped. And the bases are loaded for the American League with nobody out. 3 straight singles by Boggs, Puckett, and now Carter.
Wade Boggs being held at third base by Buck Showalter. Boggs, we mentioned, is not a fast runner. Look at Fred McGriff right there. Kirby Puckett too far off of second base. And had McGriff caught the ball, he throws behind Puckett. And I think Kirby would have been an out at second base.
Bases loaded and 1 out for Mark McGwire. He leads the majors with 28 home runs. sailed to the backstop, saved by Santiago. Tom Glavine's only difficulty in recent years has been in the first inning. If he can get through the first inning unscathed, quite often he'll work a shutout. That's outside. He's nibbling with McGuire, and it's 2-0.
There should be a yellow light and a catcher's mitt in situations like this. Very, very dangerous situation. 2 balls, no strikes. Glavine has to throw a strike, and McGuire with 12 home runs yesterday in the home run hitting contest.
Bill Glavine was watching that. There's the 4th straight base hit. Boggs has scored. Puckett waved around. Van Slyke's throw, not in time. And the American League has a 2-0 lead.
Kirby Puckett came awfully close to missing third base. That was a fine throw by Van Slyke, the 4th straight hit. All had been up the middle, by the way, off of Tommy Glavine. 2 RBIs for McGuire. Van Slyke charging hard, and his throw and sweep tag by Santiago not in time to get Puckett. But Puckett came very close to missing third base as he rounded the bag.
Still just 1 out. Glavine has surrendered 4 straight hits. And the 6th batter of the first inning is Cal Ripken Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles. Fastball high for ball 1. Tom Glavine says he's been working to solve the first inning problems. He goes out to the bullpen in recent days a bit earlier than he used to, and he allows himself a bit more time in the dugout and clubhouse before he goes out to the mound. That's down the right field line. Gwynn on the run. He can't get it. He cut it off to prevent it from getting to the wall. Carter has scored. McGuire to third. The throw to second, and he's out. Great throw from the corner by the Gold Glover Tony Gwynn.
A terrific play by Tony Gwynn. He cut it off and then throws an in-between hop to Ozzie Smith, and the sure-handed Smith makes a terrific play on the other end. Boy, that is a great play by Gwynn and Smith. Look at that pickup, and the tag, actually Ripken sliding into the tag made by Ozzie.
Now Ken Griffey Jr. He looked at strike 1. So 5 straight hits now for the American League. Ripken thrown out trying to stretch his to a double. 17 Gold Gloves between that tandem of Gwynn and Smith.
5 for Tony and 12 for Ozzie Smith.
McGuire at third with 2 outs. 3 runs on 5 hits in the first for the American League. Sinking fast, a base hit. McGuire trots home, and it's 4-0. And the National League fans here in San Diego are growing a bit restless with Tom Glavine as Ken Griffey Jr. drives in the 4th run with the 6th consecutive single.
And all-star hitters are not very concerned with scouting reports normally. However, all of Glavine's pitches have been away. There have been 5 hits hit to center field and 1 to the opposite field by Cal Ripken Jr. So evidently the American League hitters coming out expecting the ball away, getting the ball away, and hitting it properly and not trying to pull it.
Griffey Jr. at first with 2 outs. Glavine retired the first batter of the game routinely. Roberto Alomar went out on the ground ball to second. Boggs, Puckett, Carter, McGuire, Ripken, and Griffey have singled consecutively, and here's the 8th batter of the inning, Cleveland catcher Sandy Alomar Jr. It's the first time in All-Star Game history there have been 6 consecutive hits.
Wow.
And in the bullpen, Greg Maddux of the Chicago Cubs is warming up. High and tight. 1-1 on Sandy Alomar Jr., the 3rd consecutive junior to bat for the American League, following Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr., the American League in this case.
That's why they
truly
call it
the junior circuit.
That's why they call it the junior circuit, right?
In the hole, base hit off the glove of Ozzie Smith. 7 straight singles. Griffey Jr. to second on the play. So much for the problems in the twilight, although, as you noted at the outset, there is cloudiness overhead, and that is definitely helping the hitter.
Yeah, there's no problem because you don't have the shadows that are normally there between the pitcher's mound and home plate when the starting time is like this. The ball just off the glove of Ozzie Smith. Wow, 7 straight hits.
It's the first time there have ever been 7 hits in an inning, consecutive or otherwise.
Wow. A lot of wows so far.
Nowhere I had
So the pitcher, Kevin Brown, unexpectedly gets to bat.
Yeah, that's why Joe took
before he has ever thrown an all-star pitch. I wonder if this will help or hurt Kevin Brown as he prepares to go out to the mound in the bottom of the inning.
Are you kidding? With 4-run cushion?
However, he probably didn't expect to hit.
Pitchers love to hit in the first inning.
One and 2 the count. Four nothing American League. We're still on the top of the first. First and second and 2 outs, and Brown strikes out, and the nightmare's first inning comes to an end for Tom Glavine. Ozzie Smith, Tony Gwynn, and Barry Bonds will get the National League started when we come back to San Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. Here at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, the American League with 4 runs on a record 7 hits in the first inning off Tom Glavine, and that cushion is handed to Kevin Brown of the Texas Rangers, the first Ranger pitcher ever to start an All-Star game.
Kevin with a devastating sinker. As a matter of fact, he throws about 2.5 ground balls for every fly ball that he throws. The only pitcher in the major leagues with a better ratio of ground balls is Bill Swift. Bill, of course, the pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, but look for a lot of ground balls off Kevin Brown.
Ozzie Smith leads off. And Brown's first ever All-Star pitch is a strike. Brown's 27 years old from McIntyre, Georgia.
City of Atlanta should be proud tonight. Tommy Glavine representing Atlanta, and Kevin Brown attended Georgia Tech University down in Big A.
You have to empathize with Tom Glavine. He said last year he was such a nervous wreck he really didn't stop to enjoy the game until it was too late. This year he said he was going to be much more relaxed and enjoy it, but he could not have enjoyed that first inning. 1 and 2 on the Wizard of Oz. And that's fouled off the mask of Sandy Alomar Jr. You mentioned Georgia Tech. Kevin Brown, believe it or not, was a walk-on at Georgia Tech. Not only was he not drafted or even scouted by any major league team while he was at Wilkinson County High School about 100 miles outside of Atlanta, he wasn't even recruited by a college baseball program. He starts with a strikeout of Ozzie Smith. A borderline pitch on the outside corner, and Doug Harvey of the National League rings up Smith.
From the San Diego Padres.
Now Mr. Padre. Tony Gwynn said other than playing in the World Series for San Diego in 1984, this All-Star game in his hometown would be his next biggest thrill.
Last All-Star game here in San Diego back in 1978.
Wynn in the air in left center. Kirby Puckett playing left field tonight makes the catch on the edge of the warning track. 2 down in the bottom of the first. The American League with a 4-0 lead. It's been unusually humid here in Southern California in recent days. The locals complaining about the heat. Now Barry Bonds.
About the only thing they can complain about in this area.
And even then, They can't complain about the humidity very often. Jack McDowell of the Chicago White Sox is warming in the American League bullpen.
And everybody has said this is a great area for young people. It's a great singles area, and this.
Now Wade Boggs with the first of the 7 consecutive singles last inning, and he scored the first run. Out of play. No pitcher in All-Star game history has ever allowed 8 hits in an All-Star game. Matter of fact, the last man to yield 7 was Tommy Bridges of the Tigers way back in 1937. Alomar leads away from first. Boggs, that's well hit to left, and Bonds makes the catch. Right along the line, they rule it in foul territory, and he had to contend with the bullpen mound as well.
Fine play by Barry Bonds, and there's that mound with which Bonds had to contend, as Sean said, tripping over the mound, and he has the wherewithal to turn and throw the ball to second base. I think bullpen mound should be out of the playing field in Major League Baseball. That is a very dangerous area, and when a fast runner is running as hard as Bonds was, it could cause a serious injury, and almost did.
Kirby Puckett, the batter, 1 strike the count. He singled to center and scored in the first. The American League batting in the second with a 4-0 lead. Alomar with a great jump, and the high throw goes into center field. Alomar remains at second. It's a stolen base, and now you hear some boos for Benito Santiago. The big question here in San Diego the last couple of days was, would he be booed or cheered during the introductions, because he has been being booed regularly at home.
Alomar with 53 stolen bases last year, 18 this year, and Santiago's throw is high. As a matter of fact, Santiago has led the National League in errors 4 of the last 5 years. That was no error, however, given on that. But you saw the throws from his knees. As a matter of fact, Sandy Alomar Jr. used to be a teammate and an organization mate of Santiago. Both throw from their knees. Makes you think you've done something wrong if you threw standing up.
Ball blowing inside the bucket. 2-1 on Kirby. I thought it was nice that during the introductions there were many more cheers than boos for Benito Santiago. Alomar at second with 1 out. We're in the second. 4-0 American League. 2-2 the count on Kirby Puckett. Puckett, one of 13 potential free agents at the end of the season, who is playing in the All-Star game tonight. Foul tip into the mid of Santiago for strike 3. That's the second out of the inning and the second strikeout of the night for Tom Glavine. Now Joe Carter. He singled and scored in the first. Mentioned Glavine's difficulty in the first inning. In 19 starts for the Braves this year, he has surrendered 19 first inning runs. He gets through that. Usually he's okay. Pitched 5 shutouts.
One Blue Jay trying to push across another Blue Jay. And if Roberto Alomar scores, it'll be the first time he's been home in a while. He stays at the Sky Dome, the Toronto Blue Jays home up in Toronto. Stays in a room up there.
He's running on the pitch. It's a strike, and he steals third without a throw. So Alomar has stolen second and third. Those are pretty nice rooms in that Sky Dome hotel.
Yeah, but see how badly he wants to go home? 2 straight stolen bases. He's trying to do it on his own. He has a home in Del Mar, California. He has a home in Clearwater, Florida, but rarely gets to go home.
That's a strike, and it's 2-2 on Carter, who did not agree with the call from home plate umpire Doug Harvey, who at age 62 is working his final All-Star game. Doug Harvey, one of the great umpires over the last 31 years. San Diego native, announced yesterday he's retiring after this season. Carter with a little looper and a base hit. And Alomar does indeed come home. And a Toronto Blue Jay has driven in a run for the first time in All-Star competition. Joe Carter 2 for 2. Driving in his teammate. That's 5 runs on 9 hits now for the American League, and it might mark the end of the night for Tommy Glavine as Bobby Cox is on his way to the mound. And Greg Maddux of Chicago will be the new pitcher.
For a manager to soothe his pitcher's nerves.
Or a few bleeders mixed in, that is for sure. Terry Pendleton throws McGuire out, and that ends the inning. One more for the American League in the second. After an inning and a half in beautiful San Diego, it's 5-0 for the American League.
The Clinton Gore center of the road Democratic Party platform, trying to move the party closer to voters around the malls in America's suburbs. Also, Jerry Brown tones down his fight with the Clinton camp fading, or at least smoothed over. Dan Rather at the Democratic Convention in New York. More later. Now, back to the All-Star game.
Thank you, Dan. Nice to see Dan caught up in the spirit of the evening. And you saw in the box Joe Carter catch the fly ball on the warning track. It came off the bat of San Diego's Fred McGriff.
Fred just missing this fastball from Jack McDowell. Fred, of course, with a big hand and last year's MVP.
Terry Pendleton facing the new American League pitcher Jack McDowell. Pendleton voted in by the fans with his .296 average, and it's only fitting that Jack McDowell should be the second pitcher of the night for the American League. The leading winner in the AL started, Kevin Brown, with 14 wins. McDowell second on that list with 12.
Dan Rather talking about Jackson swinging hard. There was another Jackson that swung hard in the old-timers game yesterday. Reggie Jackson with a grand slam home run off Bob Gibson.
Really has been, to this point, an American League dominated All-Star couple of days in San Diego. They won the Heroes game, they won the Home Run Derby, and they're leading this one 5-0 in the second. Roberto Alomar to Mark McGuire. Pendleton is out, and that's 5 in a row to start the ball game for American League pitchers as Kevin Brown worked a 1-2-3 first.
Outfielder from the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 18.
From time to time in the background, you might be able to hear the players being introduced over the public address system. Each player is being introduced on tape by his home stadium public address announcer. So if some of the voices sound familiar to you in the background around the country, they should. Jack McDowell's first pitch to Andy Van Slyke, a ball. And ball 2.
Quite a few of the players for both leagues brought their children to the games. A.J. Van Slyke out at the game yesterday, along with Justin Sandberg, both 8 years old.
And they each had interesting things to say that we'll share with you as the night goes along.
They did indeed.
McDowell in with a strike on 3-0. It's 3-1. Kevin Brown, the starter, was from Georgia Tech. Jack McDowell, a product of Stanford. One of two Stanford Cardinal members on the American League pitching staff. Mike Messina of the Baltimore Orioles, the other. Three and two now on Van Slyke. 2 outs and the bases are empty in the bottom of the second. 5-0 American League. And Van Slyke stays alive at 3 and 2. If he can keep the inning going, he'll be followed by Ryne Sandberg. It is a very quiet pro-National League crowd at the moment. Ken Griffey Jr. drifts toward left. And for the second straight inning, the National League goes in order. After 2 at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, 5-0 American League.
What a beautiful evening. Perfect for this year.
First thing I do is I put her shoulders to the door. Like that.
First of all, the bolt and strike plate are specially designed to withstand impact.
And if that didn't work, I put a wrench to it.
It's very difficult to torque this open from the outside because there's 2 hardened steel bearings right in here.
Next, I'd try to pry it open.
Interlocking die-cast chassis. Nearly impossible to break into.
Then if that didn't work, I'd leave.
Introducing Master Lock door locks and deadbolts, the only ones that are Master Lock tough.
Hey, no more questions about Bo's hip, okay? No more questions about football, baseball, advertising. Shut up! You thought it was over? Wrong! It ain't over till the hip socket sinks, okay? So Bo's got a bum hip, so what? Look what he's doing with that hip. He's hitting the bike, he's hitting the weights, he's wearing the shoes. As a matter of fact, he's in the pool, wearing the shoes, riding the bike with 120 pounds of weight strapped to his neck, okay? And what are you and your good hip doing right now? Watching commercials! I think you hear me knocking, and I think I'm coming in, and I'm bringing Bo and his big bad hip with me.
Go into the creation of a new car, yet rarely do they come together so beautifully. Presenting the all-new 1992 Toyota Camry. We just couldn't leave well enough alone.
When you're looking to quench a serious thirst, there's nothing like the tangy citrus taste of Squirt. Give your thirst a Squirt. Regular or diet.
What would be the one thing that could make your summer perfect? Free pie in July at Pizza Hut. Get a free medium single topping pizza when you buy a large pepperoni lovers, meat lovers, or supreme pizza at regular price.
Free pie in July at Pizza Hut.
5-0 American League. As the junior circuit comes up for the 3rd time at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, Cal Ripken Jr. drove in a run with a single down the right field line in the first. He was thrown out trying to stretch it to a double. All 9 American League hits have been singles. Greg Maddux of Chicago, the pitcher. Strike 1 on Ripken. This does not count as a continuation of Ripken's lengthy consecutive game streak, which stands at 1,660. Barry Bonds waiting for the high fly to come down. 1 out. That'll bring up Ken Griffey Jr.
Griffey Jr.
He had the 6th of the 7 consecutive singles in the first inning, and he drove in a run. And Griffey Jr., the leading vote getter for the 1991 All-Star Game among American League players. And he's ahead in the count, 2-0.
And 3 years ago, he became the 9th All-Star player under the age of 21. And the American League with another one this year, Ivan Rodriguez of Texas.
He is 20.
Griffey, 23 years old, and he's been 3 straight All-Star games.
That's well hit to left. Bonds on the run, looking up, and it is gone.
That's wild.
A line drive, opposite field home run for Ken Griffey Jr. It's 6-0 American League. That is the 10th AL hit, the first extra base hit.
And the first home run ever by a Seattle Mariner. How proud they must be up Seattle way. A sinker away. This ball is drilled to left field. 2 RBIs now for Ken Griffey Jr. He is 2 for 2.
And perhaps an early leader in the most valuable player sweepstakes. Sandy Alomar Jr. single his first time up. 1-1 the count. Make that 0-2 the count on the Cleveland catcher. Out of play and right, still 0-2.
Normal speed, Ken Griffey Jr. right here.
We know we have base cam. I didn't know we had Mike Bat. That sounded like the microphone was either in the bat or on the ball or in the catcher's mitt, but it was certainly close by.
Mike Bat cam. And, you know, speaking of Mike, Greg Maddox's brother, Mike, left Greg his locker. So Greg Maddox is changing at the locker of his brother. His brother Mike Maddox, a pitcher, right-handed pitcher, same as Greg. And Mike, a pitcher for the San Diego Padres.
Mike Maddox, one of the few San Diego players who didn't have to clean out his locker. He said he was willing to let his brother Greg use it as long as he promised to leave it clean when he left.
Reasonable.
The 1-2. Slapped down to first. A tricky hop, but McGriff stayed with it. He flips to Maddox for the out. 2 down in the third. The bases are empty. The American League leads 6-0. The pitcher Jack McDowell is due. There will be a pinch hitter. Edgar Martinez of Seattle is striding to the plate.
Tom Kelly telling us before the game that he will probably, and the way Tom explained it, he said in a perfect world, I'll have Brown go an inning, and then McDowell an inning, and then Juan Guzman an inning, Roger Clemens an inning. And if anybody on the American League staff goes more than 1 inning early, it will be Mike Messina.
Martinez swung at his first ever All-Star pitch and bounced to second. That ends the inning. Another run for the American League on the home run by Ken Griffey Jr. of Seattle. And after 2.5, it's 6-0 American League. And we'll return to the 63rd All-Star game after this message and a word from your local station.
It's a heat wave of fresh new entertainment with the CBS Hot Summer Season. Get outrageous with the comedy of Howie Mandel. From the creator of the A-Team, Lee Majors and Jeffrey Meek get fired up in the martial arts adventures of Raven. Lee Horsley leads a team of investigators through steamy crimes in Bodies of Evidence. Coming soon, the sizzling stories of co-ed life in Freshman Dorm. And the real-life drama of all-new 48 Hours and Street Stories. It's an all-new Hot Summer Season on CBS.
This is CBS.
The year Gatorade came out, linemen moved a little slower. Runners were lonelier, and the only people who worked out were on TV. Sports have changed. So change your sports drink to All Sport. It's got a specially advanced formula. It's got the optimal balance of carbohydrates and fluids. And it's got a taste that makes Gatorade a thing of the past. New All Sport. Change your game.
Been to Stottlemyre's lately? They're under new management, but they still carry all major name brand shoes and apparel, do team uniforms, vinyl, and silkscreen lettering, and make special orders real easy with employees who know sports. But Stottlemyre's, your fashion headquarters? You bet. When you grin and wear it, Permagrin Sportswear. Whether on the volleyball court, beach, or street, it's Permagrin, the hot fashion statement this year. Available now only at Stottlemyre's. So no matter what ball you play, it's Stottlemyre's Athletic Supply.
It's the nuttiest sale of the year. Big R Peanut Days are here again with free peanuts and Pepsi and a whole store full of nutty great buys.
Help your lawn with Lily Miller Weed and Feed. 20-pound bag, now $7.99. It'll be a clean sweep with this heavy-duty professional push broom, now only $10.99. Save with closeout prices on Big R's entire stock of mowers and riders. And check the nutty prices on all your favorite Planters peanut products.
It's Peanut Days at Big R, Union Gap in Sunnyside.
Christina, weekdays at 9, following CBS This Morning.
Back in beautiful San Diego, the American League has scored in every inning, and it's 6-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. Ryne Sandberg leads off. He was the leading vote-getter this year among all National League players. Facing the new American League pitcher, Juan Guzman of Toronto, who crossed up Sandy Alomar Jr. with his first pitch. They're trying to get straight on the signs right now. Guzman making his first ever All-Star appearance. He's 25 years old, from the Dominican Republic. Fastball in for a strike, 1-1.
This is like a North American All-Star game. 6 players from Puerto Rico, 2 from the Dominican, 1 from Panama, 1 from Nicaragua, and 1 from Canada.
Straight back in our direction. There are more foreign-born players in this game than any other in quite a while. 11 foreign-born players, as Tim mentioned, and that is the second highest All-Star total in history. Sandberg strikes out for the first out of the inning.
Well, what is in a number? We mentioned that Justin Sandberg was with Ryan in yesterday's workout, and this is what transpired between Justin Sandberg and me.
Benito Santiago fouls the first pitch straight back. We apologize that we did not have the audio for the conversation in the clubhouse, and we'll hear other comments from Justin Sandberg in a moment. Benito Santiago making what he expects will be his final All-Star game appearance in a San Diego uniform. He's asked to be traded. He can be a free agent at the end of the year. He's behind in the count here, 0-2. The National League is still looking for its first base runner with 1 out in the third. Pulled down the line, foul past Jimmy Williams of the Atlanta Braves, serving as the third base coach.
Santiago on the disabled list for 6 weeks. And the one thing, if you're a free agent or on the last year of your contract, you want to have a good year. You want to leave in good graces, because obviously if that happens, your value goes up. John mentioned earlier, 13 eligible for free agency next year. Santiago, one of them, and Mark McGuire, another. Wade Boggs, Cal Ripken Jr., Kirby Puckett.
Barry Bonds, Ruben Sierra. It is a lengthy list. And a quality list. Guzman on the inside corner for strike 3.
Well, we talked about the Ryne Sandberg and the bringing of his child Justin yesterday, and here's what happened. What does that 23 stand for?
Michael Jordan's number and my dad's number, and then a lot of other famous baseball players.
What's your favorite baseball player's name?
Ryne Sandberg.
Why is that?
Because he's my dad.
He's his favorite baseball player, but when he had to list his favorite 23s, Michael Jordan, a typical Chicago kid is Justin Sandberg, mentioned Michael Jordan first. Larry Walker of the Montreal Expos is the batter, another of the foreign-born players. We mentioned 11 of them in this game. Larry Walker is from British Columbia. The only other time there were more foreign-born players, 1968. A record 13 from outside the United States in the All-Star game that year. Guzman just misses, and the count is 2-1 on Larry Walker, maybe the best player in this game that very few have heard of.
Talking about numbers, Pat O'Brien informs me that Michael Jordan's son, Jeffrey, who is 8 or 9 years old, his favorite player is B.J. Armstrong with the Bulls. Tough to have your son to have your number as his favorite.
From deep third, Wade Boggs has to hurry. Safe is Walker. He's the first base runner for the National League. With 2 outs in the third and with the American League on top, 6-zip.
A high chopper toward third base. And Wade Boggs has to wait for the in-between hop to settle. And by the time he gets the ball to McGuire, Walker is safe. First hit for the National League.
Ozzie Smith, the batter. That's to left. Bucket charging hard. Couldn't get it. Walker's on his way to third. He'll be held there. Ozzie Smith into second with a double.
From the San Diego Padres, right fielder, number 13.
Slicing double to left, Kirby Puckett. Of course, most National League left fielders would play Ozzie Smith more shallow than Kirby, but one of the difficulties that outfielders have is where to play the hitters. They're not that familiar with it. But that ball missing the glove of Puckett, and it hit his knee. Had it gotten through, Walker probably would have scored.
Back-to-back hits for the National League. Neither of them well struck. Here's Tony Gwynn, who was out on a fly ball to left. His first time up. Gwynn, a 4-time batting champion, 8 times an All-Star now. He's won 5 Gold Gloves. And he's on his way to batting 300 or better for the 9th consecutive season. You can understand why they call him Mr. Padre here in the San Diego area. He's talking about the possibility of being traded within the next 10 days. He becomes a 10-5 player on July 19th. After that, he would have to approve a trade. 10-5, meaning 10 years in the major leagues, the last 5 with the same team. Padres having financial difficulties. Gwynn thinks they might move him. 2-1 the count. First threat of the night for the National League, and it's a pop-up drifting toward the stands. Boggs will not have a play.
I think moving Tony Gwynn would be ill-advised by San Diego. I mean, if you have financial difficulties, the best thing to do is to win. And I think Tony Gwynn gives them the best chance to win. Padres in third place. They just swept the Phillies. Why in the world would they even think about trading Tony Gwynn?
An excellent question. Except, as Padre management noted in the paper this week, they think they're going to lose between $8 and $9 million this year. Gwynn next year starts into a 3-year contract extension worth $12 million.
You'd get some of that back in postseason play.
3-2 pitch. In on the hands and fouled away. I doubt very strongly that the Padres would trade him. There would be a major uprising in the San Diego community if Tony Gwynn was sent packing. Larry Walker, the runner at third for the National League. Ozzie Smith at second. 2 outs, 6-0 American League. In the third, chance for the National League to get back in it. And Gwynn is battling Guzman tough. Guzman knows that Gwynn is a very tough man to put away. Tony whiffed twice in the ball game on Sunday here against the Phillies. Just the second time since 1989 that Gwynn has fanned twice in the same game. That's ball 4 in the dirt.
What a play by Sandy Alomar Jr. to prevent a run from scoring. That ball bouncing out in front of home plate and a fine block by Alomar.
So now the bases are full for the man many believe is the best all-around player in Major League Baseball today, Barry Bonds. And another look at the block by Alomar.
The balls that bounced behind home plate, not that difficult. That ball hit the edge of the plate. And a very, very difficult block, but a good one by Alomar.
Now Bonds, who flied to left his first time up. Another ball in the dirt, and another good block by Sandy Alomar.
We talked about that yellow light that should be flashing in a catcher's glove. You fall behind Barry Bonds in this situation, and that's when that caution light should be flashing. Another nice block by Alomar. Barry Bonds with a chance for a Grand Slam home run. There's only been one in All-Star history. That in 1983, Fred Lynn hit it.
Tim, you caught a couple of All-Star games. How difficult is it for the catchers to adjust to the stuff of the different hurlers that they're unfamiliar with?
I think it's very difficult. I mean, we came out and saw Juan Guzman crossing up Alomar on the first pitch. Very, very difficult on the catchers catching the different pitches.
The 1-0. Fastball popped up. Boggs drifts over, checks the stands, and makes the play. The National League leaves them loaded and disappoints the folks here in San Diego in the process. After 3, 6-0 American League.
Toyota proudly presents All-Around Champions. Dave Winfield is an exceptional ball player, but it's off the field where he truly excels. He is dedicated to providing positive life skills to youth through education, health, and sports programs. His interactive video program, Turn It Around, gives kids on the edge a chance to discover how to get ahead. Toyota is pleased to support the Dave Winfield Foundation with a $1,000 contribution.
Even with shift-on-the-fly four-wheel drive, high-track independent front suspension, and a rugged fuel-injected V6, there are still some places you'd never dream of taking your family unless you owned a Toyota 4Runner. Go ahead, put yourself out there.
Who is the world's greatest athlete? Damon or Marlin? Damon runs fast. Marlin runs fast. Damon is in top physical condition.
You heard, man.
Marlin is in top condition.
Won't be needing these, John.
Okay, but who's the smarter shopper?
We'd like to see your jewels, please.
Which jewel would you like to see, gentlemen?
That one.
To be settled, July 24th at theaters everywhere. Mo Money, rated R.
Jim, give me a Bud Light.
We're all out.
When it comes to clean, fresh taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, Bud Light delivers.
Let it rain. Let it snow. You've got Michelin's new all-season MX-V4, the luxury performance tire with climate control.
This game summary is sponsored by Nike.
If you're just joining us, the American League scored 4 times in the first inning off Tom Glavine with a record 7 hits, and they came in a row, all of them singles. A single run in the second inning, the first RBI in an All-Star game for Toronto Blue Jays. Joe Carter knocked in Roberto Alomar. And the first extra base hit for the American League was the solo home run off the bat of Ken Griffey Jr. It came off Chicago's Greg Maddux in the third. The National League left the bases loaded in the bottom of the third, so it's still 6-0 American League. And the new pitcher for the Nationals is David Cone of the New York Mets.
David Cone, the only representative of the Mets. The New York Yankees with only one representative. The Los Angeles Dodgers with one. And the California Angels with one. The Cleveland Indians alone have 3 representatives. And the Dodgers and New York City have 3. Not a lot of representatives from the major markets in this game.
Roberto Alomar fouled the first pitch of the inning away. Let's check in with Jim Cott.
Visiting with starting National League pitcher Tommy Glavine. Tommy, not the ideal conditions we wanted to visit under, but it was like they were having the closest to the pin contest. They didn't really hit any rockets.
No, they hit a few pitching wedge shots off me, a couple broken bat hits, but not a lot you can do about it. Just try and make the pitches, and if they fall in the wrong places, nothing you can do.
Now, how do you handle this with your psyche looking ahead to your next? Is this something to say, hey, I came to the All-Star game, I'm going up to sit with Wayne Gretzky, my hero, turn the page and let's go?
Yeah, I think so. You come in here and obviously you try and do well, but things didn't go that well for me tonight. But I've had a good season thus far, and that's the reason I'm here. I don't have to prove anything here in this game, so just try and forget about this and pick up Saturday in Houston and go on my way.
Well, you got that right. He doesn't have anything to prove. Last year's Cy Young Award winner on his way to another one. Back up to Sean and Tim.
Thank you, Jim. You heard the reference to Wayne Gretzky. Tom Glavine, a former draft pick of the Los Angeles Kings, the 4th-round pick back in the mid-'80s, and he says he still fantasizes from time to time about skating with the great one. Here's another great one, Wade Boggs. Admittedly distracted this year by an ongoing contract situation with the Red Sox. He turned down a 2-year deal worth $9 million. Cone watched Boggs foul it off his body in the box. 0-2. Boggs has been up twice previously. He singled and scored in the first. He lined to left in the second.
Very difficult in the major leagues to negotiate a contract and a pitcher. As you look at number 24, left of your screen, Willie Mays. Bill White, the National League president, to his left and your right.
Boggs called out on strikes. He's now 1 for 3. Bill White has never won this game as the National League president. He is 0-3 and retiring after this year, so this is the last chance for them to win one for him, as you heard Bobby Cox tell his charges before the game.
Bill and Willie teammates in the late 50s with the San Francisco Giants.
Kirby Puckett, the batter. 1 strike to count. Kirby has singled and scored, and he struck out in the second. You'll get differing responses when you ask people around an All-Star game about the importance of winning, but not from the 2 league presidents. That was Dr. Bobby Brown of the American League you just saw. When I asked Bobby Brown yesterday, how important is it for your league to win? He said, it's the only thing. That's the only reason why we are here. Down to third to Terry Pendleton. And Cone works a 1-2-3 inning. After 3.5, the American League 6 and the National League nothing.
Hey, you think you're busy? 2 words, Deion Sanders. He's scoring touchdowns, he's hitting triples, he's getting his hair done. He's wearing 7,000 pounds worth of clothing, he's hanging with his posse, he's out of control. He's washing his cars, he's riding in his helicopter. He's babysitting his daughter, he's tying his shoes. He's still out of control. He's so busy he needs 2 nicknames, Prime Time and Neon Deion. Okay? But he's still hitting the bike, the weights, the road, and the pool. And you know what? He's still out of control. I think you hear me knocking, and I think I'm coming in, and I got Deion and his 27 nicknames with me. Need a nickname? Maybe he'll lend you one. Wrong!
When a muffler goes, some people look for a cheap replacement. Fact is, they can get a quality Midas muffler starting at $24.95. Fact is, a guaranteed economizer muffler starting at $24.95. Don't believe anybody ever beats Midas.
A&W Root Beer Frosty Mug Taste, take 1.
Action! Wow, is this
Does yours
frosty?
taste as frosty as mine?
Taste as frosty as
Give me my Frosty Mug back.
What are you, nuts?
No, actually, with fruit.
A&W, we've got that Frosty Mug taste.
It's hard to describe when you hold your child for the very first time. You feel that little hand. You hear that little cry. You realize you're responsible for someone else. It changes your priorities. It even changes what you drive.
The 1992 Toyota Previa. along with standard driver's side airbag and optional anti-lock brakes. It's the only van to meet all passenger car Federal Motor Vehicle safety standards. Toyota Previa.
Changes everything.
Hi, sports fans. Howie Mandel here to tell you about the show tomorrow night called Howie. It's so funny you'll fall on the floor laughing like this.
Laugh with Howie Wednesday. Add some steam to your hot summer nights.
State of crime of passion.
You'll meet the sensuous and the seductive.
I kissed her. And? Then I nearly killed her.
Night after night is where victims get their vengeance. This is the one place on television where action speaks louder than talk. Crime Time after prime time on CBS Late Night.
3 American League pitchers have each worked a shutout inning, and the 4th pitcher in as many innings for the American League is Roger Clemens, the Rocket of the Boston Red Sox.
Roger 9-6 at 2.31, and he has won 3 Cy Young Awards. He has had tenderness with the ball of his right foot. He has been rather ineffective lately pitching for the Red Sox.
That foot problem has also caused arm strain. Carlos Baerga of Cleveland in to play second base for the American League. Roberto Alomar is out of the ball game.
From the San Diego Padres,
Robin Ventura of the White Sox replaces Wade Boggs at third. And Brady Anderson of the Baltimore Orioles is the new AL left fielder with his 90210 sideburns. And here's Fred McGriff. He flied to right against Jack McDowell in the second. Rips Clemens' first pitch through the middle. A base hit for Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff out of the Tampa area. We asked his mother for her memories of Fred as a youngster.
We would be getting ourselves ready to go to Sunday school. And this particular morning, guess what Freddie was doing? Freddie was back there shining his baseball cleats. And I says, Freddie, it's time for Sunday school and you shining baseball cleats. As far as he was concerned, the Sunday school shoes were fine as they were, but those baseball cleats had to be shining.
Well, Fred can play Major League Baseball and shined cleats now, as his mom called them. Cleats, of course, for football, spikes for baseball. Fred doesn't have to worry about shining his baseball cleats anymore.
No, indeed. No. One of the nice things about being a big leaguer, a great selection by the fans across Major League Baseball was Fred McGriff. For the first time, he made it to the All-Star game, and he is a most deserving recipient, as is the man at the plate here for the first time, Terry Pendleton of the Braves. McGriff was the only man to have hit 30 or more home runs in each of the last 4 years, and he was very disappointed when he was not selected last year to go back to Toronto, where he started his Major League career. This is the first time in the ball game that the National League has had the lead man on. Pendleton looks at strike 2, 1-2 on Terry Pendleton. Andy Van Slyke to follow. Roger Clemens himself wearing a special shoe as a result of that foot problem. He has a reinforced toe area in his right shoe. A lot of strain as he drives off the mound. Base hit for Terry Pendleton. The National Leaguers left the bases loaded last inning. Now they have 2 men on. With nobody out in the 4th, they're down 6-0.
Outfielder from the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 18, Andy Van Slyke.
And here is Andy Van Slyke, who was out on a fly ball to center his first time up.
National League with the right guy up there. Andy Van Slyke leads the majors in hitting against right-handed pitchers. .376 average.
Check swing and a strike. His batting average with runners on base is also the best in the majors. He's hitting .371 this year with men aboard. Slider low. And it's 1-1 on Van Slyke.
Van Slyke, a low ball hitter, a sweep hitter. You can almost see by the way he gets ready how much of a sweep hitter he is. That is the type of pitch that he usually hammers, but of course you're not facing Roger Clemens when that pitch is in the strike zone. A little bit more giddy up on him.
Clemens said yesterday he feels 100% now. He was pleased that the Red Sox went into the break on a bit of an upbeat note, winning their last 3 to get within 10 games of first place Toronto in the AL East. Double play ball by Erga to Ripken to McGuire. 4-6-3, 2 outs and a runner at third now for the National League in the bottom of the 4th. Jimmy Williams says hello to Fred McGriff. What do you think he just said? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williams at the Atlanta Braves.
That's his old manager, Jimmy Williams, the former manager with the Toronto Blue Jays.
When he was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays by the New York Yankees, George Steinbrenner would later call it the worst trade in Yankee franchise history.
And you can't disagree with that. Certainly among them.
Ryan Sandberg, a weak ground ball to Baerga. Once again, the National League threatens, but they fail to score in the 4th. After 4 in San Diego, it's 6-0 American League.
CBS Sports presents the 63rd All-Star Game from San Diego, brought to you by the people at Nike, who encourage you to just do it. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. And by Toyota, reminding you to always buckle up. Do it for those who love you.
6 wheels, a dish on top. 2 weeks and a Winnebago we go. Friends since the 2nd grade. Products of Altoona, PA. That's me, Jack, the Butch Cassidy of the Poconos. Big boots, big dog, big ideas. That's Andy, Mr. L.A. now. Mr. Poolside and Ray-Ban shades. You can't see America by plane, I say. $5. You gotta go out and feel the dirt. So like Lewis and Clark, Stanley and Livingston, Thelma and Louise, we took off for the great outdoors. It doesn't get any better than this, was Andy's refrain. Wide open spaces, new friends and faces. A sunset you won't find in L.A. And my thanks to a ranger named Beverly, who assured us bears don't like beer.
Brutus, go!
But to Andy, survival here is the same as L.A. You keep a cold supply of the old mill on hand, and you never travel out of range of a pizzeria that delivers anywhere. As Andy says, it doesn't get any better than this.
High-performance cars, luxury performance cars, family cars, light trucks. If you've got the car, Michelin's got the tire.
He's defeated Mothra. He's defeated Angus and Mecha Godzilla. But he's never faced an adversary like this. Godzilla versus Charles Barkley. It's the battle of the century. Get ready to see a real monster jam.
Dan Rather with a Democratic Convention update live from New York's Madison Square Garden. Jesse Jackson hit one out of the park here tonight with his Keep Hope Alive speech. The rhetoric was old-line Democratic Party, but Jackson backed the new generation ticket. He called Bill Clinton President Clinton. He called Al Gore tested and prepared. Also tonight, some hominy and some harmony. Jimmy Carter addressing the delegates and Jerry Brown turning down the volume on his fight with the Clinton camp. Also this evening, assembled delegates here approved a center-of-the-road Democratic Party platform to help the Clinton-Gore ticket go shopping for votes in the fall in America's malls and suburbs. Dan Rather at the Democratic Convention in New York. More later. Now, back to the All-Star Game in San Diego.
Number 10, Gary.
The new pitcher for the National League is Bob Tewksbury. He steps into the spotlight with his team trailing 6-0. It's an all-new battery. Tewksbury of the Cardinals on the mound. Darren Dalton of the Philadelphia Phillies is the catcher. And down at the hot corner, hometown favorite Gary Sheffield of the San Diego Padres. Joe Carter, the hitter. He's working on a perfect night. Tewksbury's first pitch, a ball. Carter singled and scored in the first. He singled to drive in a run in the second. If you're just joining us, that's the first RBI ever by a Toronto Blue Jay in All-Star play.
It has been rare this season for Bob Tewksbury to go 2 balls and no strikes on anybody. He's walked 9 in 134 2/3 innings.
Ryne Sandberg calling for a fair catch in this, the home of the San Diego Chargers as well. 1 out in the 5th. The pictures you are seeing from the air are being provided tonight by the Bud 1 airship, which is piloted by Tony Stevenson. A beautiful night for Tony to be up there. Mark McGuire takes an off-speed pitch from Tewksbury for a strike. He singled to drive in 2 runs in the first. He also scored in that inning. He faced Greg Maddux in the second and grounded out. Tewksbury's a native New Englander. He's from Concord, New Hampshire, making his first All-Star appearance. Routine pop-up. Again, it's Sandberg, 2 down. And all of a sudden, National League pitchers, Maddux, Cone, and Tewksbury have combined to retire 7 in a row. Cal Ripken Jr. singled to right, drove in a run in the first. He was thrown out, trying to stretch that to a double. He flied to left in the third. Tim Hill takes his consecutive games played streak of 1,660 into the second half of the Oriole campaign.
And you realize how many games that he has played consecutively in pain. Lou Gehrig, 2,130 games in a row. If Ripken breaks his streak or ties it, it will be sometime in June of 1995.
Speaking of pain, that's fouled off his foot. It is particularly impressive when you consider that the second longest current game streak in Major League Baseball is 139 by Carlos Baerga of the Cleveland Indians, a fellow All-Star. Brett Butler had his snap to 235 for the Dodgers over the weekend.
And Joe Carter earlier in the year at 242 before he set out. But Cal Ripken has not set out since 1983. Actually, 82.
That's a foul ball. Battery taking no chances. And it is not a foul ball, it's an out. Ripken claiming the ball came up and brushed him off the arm, and it certainly looked like it did from here. Doug Harvey thinks he was just trying to buy a call, and that ends the inning.
Well, let's see if it came up and hit the shirt sleeve of Cal Ripken. It looked like it may have.
Definitely changed directions.
Doug Harvey didn't see it, so Ripken's the third out.
1, 2, 3, go the American Leaguers.
If Babe Ruth was alive, he'd be 2 years younger than me. It's got to be the shoes. Well, maybe it's the oysters.
Things are different. The new Pontiac Grand Am Sport Sedan proves it. Things are better because its new overhead cam engine gives you more than outstanding power. It gives you better mileage than Accord or Camry for a whole lot less. In fact, Consumers Digest named Grand Am a Best Buy. Pontiac Grand Am, a new kind of driving excitement.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. As soon as it left his hand, I saw it. Left the bat, I knew it. And then you see all your teammates cheering and clapping. Anytime you hit a grand slam, it sort of doesn't get any better than that.
Capture the feeling of hitting a grand slam with Upper Deck hologram card, sponsored by Coca-Cola. A limited edition of 26 Grand Slam sluggers. Get 1 card free when you buy a new Grand Slam entree and a Coke Classic, only at Denny's.
Well, and that's one of the proud moments where your chest sort of sticks out a little bit and you say, yeah, How was that?
Well, I got a cop who wants me out of the way because he wants my wife.
Unlawful Entry is a smoothly crafted thriller. Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta are both great. Riveting, bristles with tension and suspense. You don't need an air-conditioned theater. This movie has enough chills.
You go near her, I'll kill you.
Unlawful Entry, directed by Jonathan Kaplan. Rated R, now playing.
Back with the all-star of all-stars, Willie Mays. Played in 24 of these. I know it's tough, but you remember, what's your fondest one?
Well, I think in Cleveland, that was one of my fondest because I got hurt in Philadelphia and I wasn't supposed to play at all. I won the most valuable player. I think that was one of my fondest, of all the games I played.
How about 1960 when they still played 2 games? You went 6 for 8 in a week, right?
But I didn't want to play because we had to go coast to coast. But that was for the pension plan, so it was good for everybody.
The hero of so many of today's players, even American League manager Tom Kelly, the most electrifying player perhaps in the history of baseball, Willie Mays. Back to Sean and Tim.
Thank you, Jim. New pitcher on the mound for the American League is Mike Messina of the Baltimore Orioles, and he's working to Darren Dalton. There are a couple of other changes for the American League. Travis Fryman, the 23-year-old shortstop from the Tigers, is into the ball game, and Ruben Sierra of Texas is in right. Darren Dalton up for the first time at age 30 after a brutal car accident in midseason last year and 5 knee operations on his left knee. Here he is in his first All-Star game, and he was the deserving starter at catcher in the National League, but not selected as such by the fans. That's a very high pop-up. Carlos Baerga. 1 out in the National League fifth. It's 6-0 in favor of the American League.
Darren Dalton, a guy who has probably worked off the field as hard as he has on the field. He's a weightlifter, and I think pound for pound, the strongest man in baseball right there.
Told me he works out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day on the weights in the offseason. The hand is for Gary Sheffield. That's why they're applauding. A .325 average and a league-leading 62 runs batted in. It would be interesting to know what the reaction in living rooms in Wisconsin was as Gary Sheffield strolled to the plate. He is a former Milwaukee Brewer, and it was a miserable experience for him. So coming to San Diego and being fully healthy is the reason why he has completely turned his career around. It's tough to admire some of the things he did in Milwaukee. He admitted that from time to time, in his desire to be traded, he would intentionally throw balls away.
So it was not only a miserable experience for him, but Milwaukee shared in that. Milwaukee and his teammates and his manager, Tom Trebelhorn, is now coach with the Chicago Cubs.
He's out on the fly ball to Brady Anderson in left. 2 down in the fifth. 6-0 American League. If you're just joining us, the AL scored 4 times in the first on 7 consecutive singles. They added a run in the second, an RBI single by Joe Carter, and Ken Griffey Jr.'s home run in the third made it 6-0. Ozzie Smith up for the 3rd time. Facing Mike Messina in his 2nd year in the major leagues, in his first All-Star game. Like Jack McDowell, who preceded him on the American League mound, he is a graduate of Stanford, and he needed only 3.5 years to get through one of the most difficult universities in the country.
So he could pitch and tell you how he does it, too.
His degree was in economics, which would serve an all-star in this day and age very well.
Absolutely.
Mike's just 23 years old. From the home of Little League Baseball, he was born in Williamsport, PA. He still lives in Pennsylvania. 2-1 the count. Ball 3. Smith swinging away on 3-1, and he fouled it out of play.
Mentioned Mike Messina, only 23, and Ozzie Smith, 37, the oldest shortstop in baseball. Interestingly, the shortstop position, the youngest position in baseball. It has been for 12 straight years.
Here's a 23-year-old shortstop, Fryman, to throw out Ozzie Smith, and 1, 2, 3 go the National Leaguers in the 5th. We'll return to the 63rd All-Star Game after this message and a word from your local station.
Ready to put the pedal to the metal? It's a great time to buy an American car if you know where to find the right deals. Big bargains, best buys. The Money Crunch report on the CBS Evening News tomorrow.
After a hard day, most people like to unwind.
I need a laugh!
So this fall, CBS will have Monday night comedies and a whole new comedy lineup on Fridays, too. That's enough laughs to get you through the week. All you have to do is get through the door.
This is CBS.
From patio furniture to fertilizer, coolers to barbecues, you can get just about everything you need for summer right now at Pay and Save. Everything that is except a tan. Pay and Save's value book has great savings on Memorex video cassettes, just $2.49 each. Two 12-ounce bottles of Bausch & Lomb saline solution are just $3.59. And don't miss our summer white sale on now through July 24th at Pay and Save. It's just what you want, just around the corner.
At TCI Cable, the boss is
gone. Yep. Gary's on his annual vacation, and as in years past, you can take advantage of this employee takeover.
Installations and upgrades are only $1. Prices won't be lower this year. Same or next day installation will be available in most cases, and we'll be giving out early Christmas presents. $10 rebate certificates with new service orders to be redeemed on your December cable bill. Offer ends when the boss gets back, so call TCI by July 18th.
It's the nuttiest sale of the year. Big R Peanut Days are here again with free peanuts and Pepsi and a whole store full of nutty great buys.
Grab your favorite 2-liter Pepsi products, now just 99 cents each. Stock up and save with nutty prices on quality Big R lubricants like hydraulic fluid. 2.5 gallons, now $11.99. Save with closeout prices on Big R's entire stock of mowers and riders. And check the nutty prices on all your favorite Planters peanut products.
It's Peanut Days at Big R, Union Gap, and Sunnyside.
KIMA is your Great Expectation station.
Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, Jim Todd, and Pat O'Brien. It's great to have you with us for the 63rd Annual All-Star Game. And an All-Star tradition that took place yesterday, the signing of the bats and balls by the All-Stars assembled. They have to sign 60 dozen baseballs each, and you can see they have to cross their names off the list as they go by.
That is
a lot of signing.
720 baseballs are signed by the All-Stars and then distributed primarily back to the All-Stars. And it obviously is one of the more cherished mementos from All-Star play.
Just one change as we go to the top of the 6th. Tony Fernandez of the Padres, the new National League shortstop. It's 6-0 for the American League. Ken Griffey Jr., leading candidate for the game's Most Valuable Player award. He singled a drive and a run in the first. He hit the only home run of this game to this point in the third.
And if you remember Tom Kelly's remarks before the game, he said, Ken, you might have a little trouble with this guy. Talking about Tom Glavine. Well, he's 2 for 2, and the home run coming off Greg Maddux. And, of course, kiddingly, talking about how the lineup would do and how well they would do in the first inning, and they did.
He's taking another step toward the MVP award as he pulled one down into the right field corner. And now he's lacking just the triple to hit for the cycle tonight. A single, a home run, and now a double for Ken Griffey Jr. of the Seattle Mariners. With his home run earlier in the ball game, the Griffeys, Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr., are the first father and son duo to have each homered in an All-Star game. Ken Griffey Sr.'s was in the 1980 game at Los Angeles off Tommy John. Andy Alomar Jr. fouled the first pitch away for strike one. Single was in the first inning for Alomar. It was the 7th of the 7 consecutive singles. Good piece of hitting there. He got the ball to the right side. Get the runner to third. Ken Griffey Jr. at third with 1 out, and here's Jim Cox.
Well, Sean and Tim, you know, the Padres could have some alumni game here. Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar coming back. What was it like coming back to San Diego for you?
I tell you, it was very satisfying and gratifying for me to have played here for 1 year in 1990 and to come back here and play an All-Star game. I mean, my first 2 All-Star games in Toronto and San Diego. You have to talk a lot to the media, but my kids enjoyed it, and I started my first game hitting fourth, and I was in heaven today. I had a really great time out there.
What about the times talking to your former teammates that you maybe haven't seen for a while?
Well, I didn't have that much time to talk to all of them. I would have been there all day with so many of them, but I got a chance to spend a little time with Bip, a lot of time with Tony Gwynn, because my kids stayed over his house, the last couple of nights. But I mean, it's great for the Padres to host the All-Star game and have so many players involved.
Joe Carter, an All-Star wherever he goes. Back to Sean and Tim.
Thank you. And while the gentlemen were chatting, Brady Anderson in his first ever All-Star at bat bounced to the first baseman McGriff unassisted, and Griffey Jr. is still at third now with 2 down. We're in the 6th. It's 6-0 in favor of the American League. And here's Carlos Baerga. Tuned up for the All-Star game by hitting .500 in the week leading up to the All-Star break. Carlos, a switch hitter. And it was his dad, Jose, in his native Puerto Rico, who taught him to be a switch hitter when he was 8 years old. Carlos said his father told him then, become a switch hitter, that's your best bet to get to the major leagues. And if you really work hard at it, someday you'll be an all-star. And Carlos said when he called his father to tell him he had been selected to the all-star team, his father cried on the phone. Jose Baerga, Carlos's dad, is here tonight. Carlos took a while to get the news. He was in Texas with the Indians and out shopping for a Mercedes with Felix Fermin, who had $950,000 a year, as the highest paid of the Cleveland Indians. And they went off to Fort Worth. It was the trainer of the Indians, Justin Warfield, son of Jim Warfield, who told Baerga, and didn't believe it. He went running into the clubhouse to find out if it was correct. Not only was it correct, but now he's driven in a run in an All-Star game. With a gapper to left center, Griffey has scored. It's a double for Carlos Baerga. And you have to think Jose might be either smiling or crying again.
And if you keep driving in runs, you can keep driving Mercedes, too. A fastball away from Tewksbury, rifled to left center field. Well, I'll tell you, hitters' eyes light up when they see fastballs up around the letters. And you could see those eyes lighting up.
Raman Ventura up for the first time. So it's 7-0. 7 runs on 12 hits now for the American League. 2 doubles in the inning. The leadoff double by Griffey Jr. and the 2-out double by Baerga. That's the first run surrendered by Tewksbury in his inning in 2/3. Breaking ball just missed. Tewksbury was a logical candidate to be the starting pitcher for the National League in this one. He leads the league in earned run average, 1.87. I asked Bob the other day if he was disappointed not to be selected the starter. He said, no, I would go to the All-Star game and just shag balls behind second base or help clean up the dugout. I'm just happy to be there. He's a great story. He's battled back from a couple of operations to his pitching arm, one to his elbow, one to his shoulder. Fair ball off the glove of McGriff. Baerga is coming around to score. It's 8-0, and Ventura has the 3rd American League double of the inning. The throw got away as it came back into the infield, and Sheffield had to track it down near the left field line.
And Robin Ventura, with that flat bat swing of his, lines one off the glove, a one-hopper off the glove of Fred McGriff. So Ventura with the double to drive in a run. 13 hits now for the American League.
They started with 9 singles, then a home run for the 10th hit, now 3 consecutive doubles. They're due for a triple. Here's Ruben Sierra. Up for the first time tonight. And he looks at strike one. It was a tough call in the outfield among two Texas Rangers for Tom Kelly. Juan Gonzalez certainly deserving of all-star recognition, but Sierra, the veteran player, got the call over his youthful teammate.
Well, they should expand the rosters. 28 players on the rosters, too few.
That's well hit to right. Win to the wall. Home run, Ruben Sierra. A two-run homer, and it's 10-0. That's the second home run of the night for the American League, and their 14th hit.
Bobby Cox is probably sitting there saying, it's tough enough to hit with two hands. What about hitting it that far with one hand? Watch this.
From the Detroit Tigers, shortstop number 24, Travis Simon.
It was 390 with one hand, probably 780 with two.
We saw yesterday in the home run derby, the ball was really flying out of this ballpark, and you felt like if the hitters had a chance to see in the twilight that if it wasn't particularly bright, they'd have a chance to hit tonight. And at least on the American League side, they have. Travis Fryman, the lone Detroit Tiger representative, and that created a stir. A successful fielder, the major league leader in runs batted in, was omitted, but that should not be any slight directed at Travis Fryman, because he is certainly a deserving all-star himself. And at age 23, he is still the youngest member of the Detroit Tigers. And Fryman walks on 4 pitches, so things are coming apart for Bob Tewksbury here in the 6th. He worked a 1-2-3-5, but he's allowed 3 doubles, a home run, and a walk now, and here comes Bobby Cox out to get him. John Smoltz of the Atlanta Braves will be the new pitcher when we return to the 63rd Annual All-Star Game.
He's waiting about a car length and a half behind Al Jr. Al Jr. now races it out. He's trying to hold him off. Goodyear low, Jr. high. They go to 4, Bob Levy. Alistair Jr. has the lead. One more turn to go. Here they come. Coming to the finish line. Bob Jenkins, who's going to win it? The checkered flag is out. Goodyear makes a move. Little Al wins by just a few tenths of a second. Perhaps the closest finish in the history of the Indianapolis 500.
It's deep down. I've got a thirst that gotta quench it. I've got a thirst that gotta drench it. That deep down body thirst.
Nothing quenches your thirst and puts back fluids and minerals better than Gatorade.
Thirst that gotta quench it. I got a thirst. Gatorade thirst quencher. It's all you're thirsty for.
People loved the old type of granola, but didn't know it was loaded with fat. Introducing new Kellogg's low-fat granola. Lots of delicious whole grains, almonds, and raisins, but only half the fat of leading granolas. New Kellogg's low-fat granola. Great taste, half the fat.
If you want the granola that's low in fat, naturally you'd choose this one, new Kellogg's low-fat granola. But if you want the one that was overwhelmingly preferred in taste tests, you'd still pick this one.
Kellogg's low-fat granola. Better taste, half the fat.
Nothing satisfies so many people in so many different ways. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
The new pitcher for the Atlanta Braves is, or for the National League rather, is John Smoltz of the Atlanta Braves with a 10-6 record. Part of that outstanding starting staff. And he is greeted by a pinch hitter. Paul Molitor of the Milwaukee Brewers is coming up to bat for Mark McGwire. So McGwire's night ends at 1 for 3 with a 2-run single in the first. He also scored a run. And Molitor takes a strike of the knees.
Talk about a well-kept secret. A .303 lifetime batting average, 158 home runs, 396 stolen bases. What a career he has had.
And that has him in very elite company. He and Willie Mays are the only players in Major League history with a 300 career average, 150 home runs, and 300 steals.
Another wow.
Because he plays in a small media market, I'm not sure fans around the country appreciate what a consistently fine player Paul Molitor has been, and again this year at age 35. Member of his 5th All-Star team, Molitor pops it up. McGriff to the rail, does not have a play. We're in the 6th inning, 4 runs across in this frame for the American League. They also scored 4 times in the first, single runs in the second and third. It is 10-0. Ruben Sierra telling Robin Ventura, who was aboard, about his home run. That's well hit and sinking fast to right. It falls in front of Gwynn. Fryman stops at second. Out at second. Gwynn threw in behind him. Fernandez tagged him out.
Let's say you're cutting out for a game of pool, or games around a pool. Now you can enjoy a non-alcoholic brew that delivers taste, not promises. Son of a Gun Cutter really does taste like beer, and no wonder. It's brewed like beer. Genuine Coors through and through. So whether you're a doggy cutter or a dogie cutter, Coors Cutter's got the genuine beer taste you've been hankering for. Nothing cuts it like a cutter.
Hetty appeared to be the perfect roommate, but appearances...
Where the hell are you?
Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. Pat O'Brien over in a place where we usually aren't, in the bullpen with Dennis Eckersley, and with this kind of lead, not too much pressure on you tonight, huh?
It's nice to be able to talk to 10-0, that's for sure.
How does this bullpen rate versus other bullpens around the league? You like them open, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot worse bullpens, but you know, you like a bullpen where you feel like you're in part of the game. There's some bullpens where you come out from left field or center field and you don't even know where you are when you get through the gate. So it's nice to be able to get a feel for the game.
Hope to see you in the game tonight. Shooting the bull with the F. Back to you guys.
I'm glad he said that.
From the San Diego Padres, right fielder, number 19.
New pitcher for the American League. The 6th pitcher in as many innings for the junior circuit, Mark Langston, the lone representative from the California Angels.
And Mark Langston quite candid, saying that Jim Abbott should have been the one selected instead of him, his 3rd All-Star game.
Working at Tony Gwynn. The pitch caught by the new catcher for the American League, 20-year-old Ivan Pudge Rodriguez of the Texas Rangers. It's the first of many All-Star appearances for him. Travis Fryman, after the embarrassment of getting nailed on the bases, throws to Paul Molitor. A high throw, and perhaps Travis is still thinking about the base running blunder a moment ago.
Outfielder, Pittsburgh Pirates, number 24, Barry Bonds.
Now Barry Bonds of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Big breaking ball. Roberto Kelly of the Yankees has come in to play center field. So all of the American League starters are out of the ball game now. Langston candid about it, but he felt Jim Abbott should have been the selection. Jim Abbott only 4-11, but with an ERA of under 3, and he's been the victim of absolutely no run support. Paul Molitor victimized by a bad bounce. Bonds is going to try for second, down 10-0, and he's in there safely.
The first extra base hit of the ball game for the National League. Ow. Victimized, I think, the appropriate word there, Sean.
From the San Diego Padres.
Just missing the coconut of Paul Molitor.
So Bonds is aboard with the 5th National League hit of the night. And here is Fred McGriff, who's 1 for 2. He singled off Roger Clemens in the 4th. Mike Messina worked 1 perfect inning for the American League. Langston watched McGriff duck out of the way from the breaking ball. What a miserable year it has been for the California Angels. Both on and off the field. On the field with their cellar dweller status, and off the field with the car crash that has knocked their manager out of action, at least until mid-August now is when they tell us Buck Rogers might be back. That's well hit. And in for a hit. Here comes Bonds to the plate. Anderson throws to the middle of the diamond, and the National League is on the board. Fred McGriff delights the Padre faithful. They've been waiting for something to cheer for, and now they have it. One of their own has knocked in the first senior circuit run of the night.
And the second hit of the ball game for Fred McGriff. Looked like a fastball away. And McGriff with good power the other way. He is a much better hitter against left-handed pitching this year, by the way. Batting .379 against left-handers this year. Speaking of good hitters against left-handed pitching.
Will Clark batting for the pitcher Smoltz. .318, Will's average. He had started at the last 4 All-Star games at first base and was leading through most of the All-Star balloting this year, but was overtaken at the wire by Fred McGriff, who edged him by 16,000 votes. Will Clark, in a glossy statement, said the fans made the right choice. Fred McGriff deserved to be the starter this year in the National League. It's interesting that these two earned a lot of respect for each other during the brawl that the Giants had with the Padres earlier this season. McGriff was really hot and charged out to the mound, and it was Clark who grabbed him and pulled him away, a member of the other team with whom the Padres were brawling. And Will Clark, in trying to restrain McGriff, said, "Fred, you're too good a player. Your team is going to need you for the rest of the season. No matter how mad you are, don't do this." It was really the beginning of what is a nice developing friendship for these two.
They have always respected one another. Trevor Wilson, the left-hander for the Giants, was the pitcher that night. Both he and Fred McGriff were given 4-day suspensions by National League President Bill White. McGriff hurt his shoulder, and so did Clark.
Clark slices it down the left field line. Long run for Anderson. It's a foul ball. Just foul in the American League bullpen. .10-1 American League. We're in the bottom of the 6th. The National League has scored its only run of the night here in the 6th. And they have a runner at first with 1 out. Strike 3. The 3-2 pitch. Clark thought it was outside. Doug Harvey's had a generous strike zone tonight. That'll look to be a pretty good pitch from our vantage point. And it's the second out of the inning. First strikeout for Langston.
He was telling Ron Gant, the next hitter, that it was up. It wasn't up. It could have been outside. Take a look. Yep, looked a little outside. Doug Harvey, usually a guy who makes you, from a width standpoint, who makes you throw a strike. That ball appeared to be a little outside.
And Doug Harvey, mentioned earlier, at age 62, working his 6th and final All-Star game after 31 years as an umpire. He's hanging it up, and he was making the notation of Ron Gant, who's up to bat for Andy Van Slyke. Gant, a member of the Atlanta Braves, making his first All-Star appearance. And this was very important to Ron Gant.
I was talking to Willie Mays before the game and in the National League clubhouse, and he was talking to Ron Gant, trying to get him to relax his left forearm while awaiting for the pitch. Saying that just instead of gripping the bat intently, there's Willie right there. Instead of gripping the bat intently, just relax the hands, and that in turn relax the forearms.
That's a lot of arm to relax. And Gant felt up until this point that he was not getting his due as one of the best all-around players in baseball. He's twice a 30-30 man with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the same year. An all-star for the first time tonight. And ahead in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. The American League leads 10-1 in the bottom of the 6th. Fouled straight back, 3-2. Only 2 other players have had back-to-back 30-30 seasons, and they are Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds. Amazing how Willie Mays' name keeps coming up when you talk about some of the extraordinary feats in the history of the game.
He was the best player I ever saw.
Pulled down the line. It's going to be a long throw for the Gold Glover Ventura, and he got the Speedy Gant by a running step. The National League is on the board after 6. It's a 9-run lead for the American League.
Hey, no more questions about Bo's hip, okay? No more questions about football, baseball, advertising. Shut up! You thought it was over? Wrong! It ain't over till the hip socket sinks, okay? So Bo's got a bum hip, so what? Look what he's doing with that hip. He's hitting the bike, he's hitting the weights, he's wearing the shoes. As a matter of fact, he's in the pool, wearing the shoes, riding the bike with 120 pounds of weight strapped to his neck, okay? And what are you and your good hip doing right now? Watching commercials! I think you hear me knocking, and I think I'm coming in, and I'm bringing Bo and his big bad hip with me.
Of 144 different import and domestic cars, only the elite make J.D. Power & Associates' top 10 models an initial quality list. That list now includes the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra. We believe it reflects the commitment of the people who make it and the dealers who sell it, as well as the wisdom of the people who bought it. Cutlass Sierra from Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Of fx cosine squared over the derivative of sine cosine x to the 4th power 1 has to first differentiate the reciprocal inverse powers of the equation, thus canceling the variables from both sides. This then allows us to apply Bohr's theorem to the entire equation, making sine cosine cubed now 4 times y sine minus the derivative of 6f of x squared, making sine cosine squared equal to, anybody? Anyone got this?
You won't believe what goes into the preseason sale at JCPenney. Like incredible savings throughout the store on next season's newest fashions. For him. For her. For the kids. And for the home. When you consider everything that goes...
Dennis Martinez of the Montreal Expos, the new pitcher for the National League as we go to the 7th. With the National League down 10-1.
Martinez.
Will Clark remains in the game. He's the new first baseman.
From the Atlanta Braves, number 5.
Craig Biggio of the Houston Astros at second base. And it's an all-new outfield. Bip Roberts of Cincinnati in left. Ron Gant of the Atlanta Braves in center. And John Kruk of the Philadelphia Phillies is in right. And Roberto Kelly is the batter. He's coming up for the first time tonight. Kelly, the lone representative of the New York Yankees in this All-Star game. And he swings and misses the first pitch from Dennis Martinez. Kelly, the first Panamanian-born player to play in the All-Star game since Ben Ogilvy in 1982. Dennis Martinez, a native Nicaraguan, making his 3rd All-Star game appearance. He now makes his home in Miami. He's the father of 4 children, has a couple of them along.
And is he ever a hero in his home country? Perfect game last year against the Dodgers.
And a perfect at bat with Roberto Kelly. Struck him out on 3 pitches. Let's check in with Jim Cobb.
All right, Sean, here with American League first baseman Mark McGwire. What fun, huh, to come out like this with the double-digit runs?
It's one of the better games I've played in as far as All-Star. Yeah.
Well, you've played in a lot of good ones in the first half. Now tell me, you're keeping your hitting tips. You're keeping them secret, but looks like you have a very relaxed right elbow. Does that have something to do with your swing?
Yeah, I got to keep it inside, and sometimes I like hit my forearms together, sort of like what Joe Morgan did when he played with the Reds, and it just tells myself to keep my arm inside so it doesn't flare up. If I flare up, sometimes I tend to get long, so it's just something I've done over the past spring training, and it's worked.
You know, you Oakland A's are keeping pace with the Minnesota Twins with guys that nobody's ever heard of, like Troy Neal, and it's miraculous.
I think that's why we're going to sit pretty right now. I think we're going to get our big boys back right after the break here. And I think it will be tough for the Minnesota Twins, and we play them 6 more times, so it's going to be a good road down the. This is terrible.
It's easy to say. It's easy to tell you. The big boy has been back. Yeah, the big boy has been back for the first half of the season. Back upstairs.
And perhaps Mark McGwire was rattled by the trip around the base pass of Pudge Rodriguez. He had a shot to the wall and right. Kruk couldn't catch it, but then the youngest All-Star at age 20 was thrown out trying to stretch it to a triple.
John Kruk can't track it down. Ball hits the heel of the glove. He is awarded, however, a double, and the relay throw to Gary Sheffield nails the diving Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, the youngest All-Star at age 20 years, 7 months and 14 days. He is the first player ever born in the decade of the 1970s to appear in an All-Star game. That's kind of frightening. Even I feel old. Here's Chuck Knobloch, another first-time All-Star, and this is his 2nd year in the major leagues.
Come on, Eddie.
2-0 on Knobloch, American League Rookie of the Year last year.
Hope you're able to say that a long time. Even I feel old. That's something that's nice to say for a long time. And Ivan, as you said earlier, will continue to say that. He is some talent.
Only been 5 players who ever appeared in an All-Star game at a younger age than Pudge Rodriguez. Dwight Gooden, Butch Weiniger, Jerry Walker, L.K. Line, and Johnny Bench, the only younger All-Stars. Pudge said his goals this year were to hit 300 and be an All-Star, and he might accomplish both of them this year. Knobloch walks.
Craig Biggio converted. He was, as a matter of fact, he was a catcher in the All-Star game last year in Toronto. And catching comes in handy as far as accuracy and throws are concerned. Biggio, now a second baseman. Only one of 2 players who have played 100 games behind the plate and 100 games as a catcher. Craig Biggio, not only an All-Star catcher, but an All-Star second baseman, too, with a fine throw to Gary Sheffield.
The only All-Star to have been an All-Star at both of those positions. That's an incredible transition, as you noted, in 1 year to do it. Brady Anderson, the batter.
Pete Rose, an All-Star at 5 different positions, all 3 outfield positions, first and third, but certainly a catcher.
It was unlikely for Biggio to be here because of that transition. It was certainly unlikely at the start of this year that Brady Anderson would be here. Coming into this season, Anderson had a career batting average of .219. And he also owned the dubious distinction of being the only outfielder in the history of Major League Baseball to hit .231 or less in each of his first 4 seasons in the majors, with a minimum of 60 games played in the outfield.
Like Sampson, he grew his hair longer and got stronger.
I'll see a lot more of those 90210 sideburns, I think,
you
around
got that right.
Major League Baseball.
It is a fad in the Baltimore area now to have all the teenagers growing their sideburns longer.
That's The ball low. Brady says he doesn't think it's the sideburns, but he is going to leave them at that length. And he doesn't like the comparison to 90210, actually. He said it has nothing to do with that television program. Fernandez steps on the bag. He didn't need to throw to first. 7th inning stretch, 10-1 in favor of the American League.
CBS Sports presents the 63rd All-Star Game from San Diego, brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering, the people at Nike who encourage you to just do it, and by Columbia Pictures, a league of their own, America's favorite summer movie.
Of 144 different import and domestic cars, only the elite make J.D. Power & Associates' top 10 models an initial quality list. That list now includes the Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra. We believe it reflects the commitment of the people who make it and the dealers who sell it, as well as the wisdom of the people who bought it. Cutlass Sierra from Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Thank you, Doctor.
I'm not a real doctor, but if I were, I'd recommend Ligament for occasional muscle pain.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer. They keep going and going.
Joanne Cern talks about her new Goodyear Aquatred all-season radial.
In favor of the American League. Biggio had that foul ball bounce up. It looked like it hit him around the face, but he's okay.
Must be these guys' ball. Where'd you do the scoreboard? Huh? Where'd you do the scoreboard? Why is it 10 to
Darren
1?
Dalton waits on deck. One of the reasons they converted Biggio to second base, the biggest reason is to take advantage of his speed. To average 22 stolen bases a year as a catcher. He already has 19 this year, and he walks back to the bench as a strikeout victim of Charles Nagy. Let's check in with Jim Cott.
10-1 American League. In fact, Roger Clemens, the Rocket's so relaxed. He said, "You look like you're dressed for jogging." Where did you catch you on your way to?
I just got done ice and I was going to do a little exercising, but after that shot, we just got a close look at that SWAT team. I don't know if I'm going to go out and run or not.
You can do that.
"17 hits now for the American League. That ties the All-Star Game record for most hits by one team. The AL had 17 hits back in 1954. Ruben Sierra 1 for 1 with his 2-run homer in the 6th. A couple of weeks ago, we did a game in Chicago. I was hanging around the Texas clubhouse and stumbled upon Ruben Sierra doing an imitation of Nolan Ryan. It was very humorous, and with some prodding yesterday, we got Ruben to do it for us.
Look at the right shoulder.
Then the lean to the right.
Yeah, lean to the right.
To get the ball. A double play ball if they hurry. But the throw from Biggio was a little tough for Fernandez to handle. They erase Ventura. Nagy to third on the play. First and third and one out. Sierra safe on the fielder's choice. We're in the 8th. It's 10-1 American League.
From the Detroit Tigers, shortstop Travis Simon.
Now Travis Fryman, who walked in his first ever All-Star plate appearance. Strike one.
That is the change off the change that Doug Jones has become so famous for. 128 saves, the all-time Cleveland Indians save leader. He has 19 this year, and there was another one. He reminds me a lot, you older folks out there remember Stu Miller with the head jerk and one change up after another. You have a tendency to swing at that arm motion. What a great story he is, too. Signing a AAA contract this spring with Tucson. And he has gone on to be one of the saviors in the Houston bullpen.
He never did see any playing time in the minor leagues for Houston. He signed a AAA contract, but earned his right to start the season with the Astros in spring training. Base hit. Fryman is perfect. Nagy scores. It's 11-1. The throw to third is cut off. Sierra to third. So Fryman has walked and now singled to drive in a run in his first All-Star game. Bobby Cox has watched the American League pile up a record now 18 hits. 3 in this inning. Paul Molitor, the 5th batter of the inning. He came up as a pinch hitter for Mark McGwire in the 6th and singled off John Smoltz. Chopped foul. Sporting new colors and a new name, the Goodyear Blimp Eagle from Carson, California has been providing these aerial pictures. Tonight, the pilot is Joel Chamberlain. Molitor frozen by the 0-2 pitch, and he's gone on 3 pitches. 2 outs now in the 8th. It's 11-1 in favor of the American League. That's the first strikeout for Doug Jones.
And the American League on their way to winning 5 in a row from the National League. That has never been done. They have won 4 in a row one other time, back in the late 40s.
Of course, the National League's longest winning streak, 11 games. In All-Star history, there's been a lot of trends back and forth. Roberto Kelly up there with 1 ball to count. That's well hit, fair ball. Down into the corner and into the bullpen. Sierra has scored. Fryman is being waved around. He scores. It's a 2-run double for Roberto Kelly of the New York Yankees. That is the 100th hit in All-Star competition by a member of the New York Yankees. They have more than any other Major League team.
A changeup, and it's drilled past Mike Sharperson. And it plates 2, rattling around in the bullpen past Lee Smith. As you can see it hopping up as Sierra scores, Fryman scores 13-1, and the rout continues.
Arch Rodriguez swinging for the fences.
Why not?
Bud's just a little bit older than those fellows you just saw. Talking with Jim Sundberg yesterday, for so many years an outstanding Major League catcher. He played in the Heroes game, and he's a broadcaster for the Rangers. And he says Pudge Rodriguez has the finest skills of any young catcher he has ever seen.
I think looking at him, what could develop is he's only 20 years old. He's very thick through the waist. He's thick through the thighs. He's thick through the chest. He could have a weight problem as he gets a little older. But you can see how he is put together. He's put together about like most catchers are.
Jones stumbled as he delivered the pitch. He's got a lot of change-ups, but that was not in his repertoire.
Slip pitch.
This is the 2-2 pitch. And he struck him out. 3 more for the American League. 13 runs on 19 hits in San Diego for the AL.
And welcome back to San Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. The American League leads 13-1. And normally about this time we talk to the President of the United States. But Fay Vincent, you've been in the headlines more than the President, I think. First of all, they'll probably figure out a way to blame this on you, huh, the score?
Well, I don't think so. It's been a nice game, a little lopsided, that's all.
A little fun for you to be at the ballpark and away from all the controversy?
Well, that's right. It's always fun to be at the ballpark. This is a lovely ballpark, and we've had a lot of good moments here in the last few days.
You're a ballpark kind of guy, too, aren't you?
Well, I hope so. It's the right place to be in my position.
What about the reports swirling around now about this alleged fax with, we've heard as many as 20, 22, it's written, owners signing it to ask you to resign. How are you handling that?
Well, I think we should just ignore it today. This is a day for baseball and a great game, and I really don't think we need to deal with it.
How long can this bickering go on, and is the bickering good for baseball?
Well, I don't know that it's bickering. We have to come together, all of us in baseball, and I hope we will, to see if we can't deal with the serious problems.
I think one of the other things in this game in particular is a lot of the players who weren't here. Is there any consensus around baseball of maybe changing the selection process? Your Cecil fielders don't get in. I mean, there's always a complaint about somebody.
Well, there are a lot of very good first basemen in the leagues these days. No, I haven't heard any talk, and I was in the dugouts, and I didn't hear much about it.
If indeed there is, I'm going to badger you one more time on this. If indeed there is this alleged fax, would you consider resigning? Under what circumstances would you resign? They can't fire you.
Well, I don't think that's a subject. I don't intend to resign. I don't think the issue is going to come up. And I think we will come together and deal with our problems.
Think that's going to happen?
Yes.
You like being badgered in your own box?
I'm happy to be badgered. I'm used to it.
Hope you're enjoying the night. How many hot dogs tonight?
Just one.
I thought this was a 3-dog night for you anyway. Commissioner, always a pleasure.
Nice. Thanks, Pat.
Back to you guys.
Bay is okay. And you get diverse opinions. I think the thing I admire most about Fay Vincent, he is certainly not reluctant to make the difficult decision. It is a very difficult job when you're dealing with 26 and soon to be 28 owners and their egos, which are large. And you're not going to please everybody most of the time because there are diverse interests among baseball's ownership. He has put his foot down when he's felt it has been in the best interest of baseball. Whether you agree with the individual decisions or not is one thing, but he deserves credit for making it. Truck with the base hit.
How many decisions, I think you have to ask yourself, how many decisions has he made that are wrong as far as the best interest of baseball are concerned? The most recent, the realignment, the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals going to the Western Division next year, along with the Colorado Rockies when expansion occurs, and then the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves going to the East. That should have been done, it seems to me, 23 years ago. It's long overdue.
I would agree. The only mistake he's made in recent days, and he admitted it, was when he summoned Buck Showalter, Gene Michael, and Jack Lawn of the New York Yankees to his office a couple of hours before an afternoon game to talk about their testimony in the Steve Howe drug hearing. There is Buck Showalter.
And he apologized for that publicly.
But other than that, as you point out, clearly realignment is in the best interest of baseball. And in this case, it's the Chicago Cubs looking out for their own best interest, but somewhat selfishly, since it is in many ways not in the best interest of the overall game. Bip Roberts, the batter. Base hit. So a couple of former Padres are on. They're facing Jeff Montgomery of the Kansas City Royals here in the bottom of the 8th with the American League leading 13-1. There is Montgomery. It was pretty well acknowledged that Kevin Apier, a starter with 10 wins for Kansas City, would have been their selection, but he worked on Sunday for Hal McRae and therefore would not have been available in this game. Useless to bring him to San Diego. He was unable to work, so Montgomery, who is their closer and was worthy of consideration, is on the mound.
Not only worthy of consideration, but Tom Kelly says that he deserves to be on the team. Again, an example for an expanded roster.
Bip Roberts, after the base hit, asked for the ball. It's his first All-Star hit. He got the hit, and Rich Garcia got him the ball. Compact Nazi with the pop-up in shallow right. It's handled by Ruben Sierra. Now Will Clark, who was called out on strikes in the 6th. And there's going to be a pitching change here. Rick Aguilera of the Minnesota Twins is coming into the ball game, and Jeff Montgomery departs.
I take my son to daycare every day, and his
National League 9 runs behind, but Bobby Cox, Ron Gantt's manager, realizing he didn't come here to walk, he came here to hit. He wants to hit his way back to Atlanta.
There's Roger Craig, manager of the Giants, one of Bobby Cox's coaches. Ventura in foul ground. He handles the pop-up, and that ends the inning. 3 more for the National League on the 3-run homer by Will Clark, and we go to the 9th with the American League on top by 9. As we go to the American League. As we go to the 9th inning, the American League on top. The American League coming to the plate with Chuck Knobloch to lead off against the 54th player to appear in the game. 54 out of the 56 have now appeared as Norm Charlton of Cincinnati missed low with ball 1. Only Lee Smith and Dennis Eckersley are yet to get in the game and will undoubtedly see the Eck in the bottom of the 9th. Obviously, the one-sided nature of this game has enabled both managers to get everybody in.
But the fans have still gotten their money's worth.
Why don't you
Well, we were thinking yesterday about the total salaries of both clubs, and you will be interested to know how much both teams make this year with 13 players eligible for free agency, as Clark makes a rather insignificant catch. The National League salary of all 28 players, $66,471,667. And the American League, $51,904,750, for a total of right around $118 million for the 56 players. And that is just about enough to buy a Seattle Mariners franchise. That's about what it went for, right? $125 million.
Brady Anderson sends it straight back. Well, the question is, do you get anything for being here? I mean, we don't have to hold a benefit for these guys, but do they get a little bonus?
Well, of course. But of course, we didn't figure that in. It was pocket change.
Some of them have bonuses in their contracts with their individual teams. Ron Gantt drifting back in center to make the catch. 2 outs. And another pitcher is coming up to bat before the dazed gathering here at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. They can't believe what they are seeing under the full moon. Another American League pitcher coming to the plate. We saw Brown in the first inning. Nagy got a base hit. And now here's Rick Aguilera.
And you can tell by that swing that he is a hitter. He went to Brigham Young University as a third baseman. He changed to pitching his second year. As a matter of fact, last year during the World Series, he made the last out of the game for Tom Kelly's Twins in Game 3 of the World Series. That was in the 12th inning. Atlanta scoring and winning their first game of the series in the bottom of the 12th.
Strike of the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Rick Aguilera with 2 outs and the bases empty in the top of the 9th. It's 13-4 in favor of the American League. Charlton trying to put a little extra on that one. He missed low, 2-2.
Hey, right here, come on. Here, boy, hey.
Foul tipped into the mitt to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 9th. The National League needs a touchdown and a field goal.
You know, I've messed up on a few relationships in my life, but there's one that's lasted over 35 years with a lot of help from Quaker State. It's tough on wear, tough on sludge. So Quaker State and I are planning on a meaningful relationship with my new car. So why don't you do the same with your new car's engine, and Quaker State will guarantee it for 250,000 miles or 10 years in writing. You think if I gave Lonnie the Quaker State deal, she'd give me the same guarantee? Quaker State is one top motor oil.
And isn't it true that this auto part did, in fact, come from the defendant's car?
Objection. Prosecution is leading the witness.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
This part most definitely came from that car.
And how can you be sure?
I work for Napa Auto Parts. It's my job to be sure.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Napa people are parts experts, so they can answer any question, whatever the case may be.
My dad is not a morning person. See? But once I get into the shower with Coast, he gets better. The bold, brisk scent of Coast wakes him up. He likes the lather, too. He says Coast makes him feel like a whole new man. If it works with my dad, it'll work with anyone.
Coast, the eye-opener.
That's my mom. Here we go again.
It's the bottom of the ninth. 1 out, a runner on third. You're down by 1, so you strategize. The signal goes in, and the suicide squeeze is on. Your runner takes an easy lead off third because he doesn't want to tip the pitcher that the batter's going to bunt, which he does, and your guy knows it's good, and he's screaming down the chalk. The pitcher's only play is first, and you eat the sacrifice for an RBI and a brand new game. That's the suicide squeeze, and that's baseball.
A message from Major League Baseball.
Friends, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Despite the lopsided score, most of the folks are still here at San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, Jim Cott and Pat O'Brien. And it's Craig Biggio to face Rick Aguilera as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Aguilera is still in there, but Eckersley is still throwing in the American League pen. Biggio struck out against Charles Nagy of Cleveland. And he looks at a strike, 1-1. Aguilera came to the Minnesota Twins as a starting pitcher. He watches Biggio at a line drive to center, handled by Roberto Kelly. 1 out. Tom Kelly is on his way to the mound. We'll take this opportunity to tell you that some of tonight's aerial photos have been provided by Goodyear's newly painted and renamed Airship Eagle. Rick Aguilera has departed, and now every American League player has participated in this one as Dennis Eckersley takes the mound.
You know what I think Tom Kelly's thinking is right here? Rather than bring him in at the start of an inning, give him more recognition by bringing him in with only 1 out, because he is the premier reliever in baseball. 34 consecutive saves without a blown save opportunity over 2 years, 30 this year. What a remarkable story. The only pitcher ever to have 100 saves and 100 wins as a starter.
34 saves over 2 seasons, a major league record without blowing one. That scorecard's pretty neat compared to ours here in the booth. The last time a team used every player in an All-Star game, the National League, in 1987, and that was a 13-inning ball game.
And what you can do is just cross out Aguilera right there. So we did that for Tom.
No reason for him to continue making notations on the scorecard.
That's exactly right. And Dennis Eckersley will be the 28th player for the, there is Aguilera right there. So we'll manage from the booth. We get accused of that anyway. There's Eckersley. Eckersley, who is crossed off. So it is complete. All 28 players for the American League have been used up.
You know, I often wondered what use the telestrator had in baseball, and now I know it is a vital cog in any baseball telecast. Eck on in what is clearly not a safe situation. His team ahead 13-4 with 1 out and the bases empty in the bottom of the 9th. He will be greeted by Darren Daulton.
Now batting from the Phillies, number 10, Darren Daulton.
Good to see Darren Daulton in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform. Yesterday, both Daulton and John Kruk had to participate in the workout in different uniforms because the Phillies, who were here in San Diego over the weekend, went back to Philadelphia for the All-Star break, and their equipment man took Kruk and Dalton's warm-up jerseys and game jerseys. They had time to get the game jerseys back today via delivery service. But yesterday, Kruk came out in the jersey of Leo Mazzoni, the Braves pitching coach.
Number 54. He and Mazzoni only live about 10 minutes apart, right on the West Virginia border. As a matter of fact, they get together during the winter and barbecue, of all things.
Was it the first thing Kruk wanted to know when he walked in the clubhouse yesterday? Where's the spread?
Where's the lunchroom? Right.
John went up to the concession area trying to find a Phillies sweatshirt or t-shirt that he could wear, and the lady at the concession stand said, "Why would we sell any Phillies paraphernalia here?" Here's a little put back by them. Molitor to Eckersley, safe. Darren Daulton just did beat it.
We will see how that is going to be scored. This ball hit like a bullet. Molitor on the short hop with a skate save. We talked about Tommy Glavine and his affinity for hockey earlier, and by the time Molitor makes the play, Eckersley covering. It's too late. Looked like a base hit for me.
No word on the scoring yet. Earlier in the ball game for you Texas Ranger fans, now they have charged Molitor with an error. Pudge Rodriguez doubled and was out trying to stretch it to a triple. Well, they just changed the scoring on that a while back, and they charged John Kruk with an error out in right field. No double for Rodriguez. Mike Sharperson of the Dodgers, the batter. And he's quickly behind in the count 0-2.
And somebody in Orangeburg, South Carolina is very, very pleased tonight. Mike Sharperson's mom and dad. His dad was a gentleman who was in the slaughtering business. And Mike Sharperson so happy to be in this game, selected as the only Dodger to perform for the National League.
His dad, as you might have heard on the pregame with Pat O'Brien, 71 years old, also named Mike Sharperson, doesn't like to fly, so he did not make the trip out here from Orangeburg, South Carolina, but Sharperson has been recording the goings-on with a home video camera. Here's Tony Fernandez, the last man standing between the American League and their 5th consecutive victory in All-Star competition.
As a matter of fact, Mike Sharperson is getting a bat signed for his father, and even went to the American League bench yesterday afternoon to have the American Leaguers sign the bat also. So he'll have 56 prized autographs on that bat, and that's for Dad.
1-1. Either for a strike, 1-2. Nice for Mike's dad to watch his son have a little more airtime in the dugout.
That's right.
Eckersley would love to close it with a punch-out. That just missed. It's 2-2. And that's low. It's 3-2. (13-4). American League. 2 outs and a runner at first in the bottom of the 9th. Fernandez pulls it foul. invite you to stay tuned for our post-game coverage, including the naming of the most valuable player of this 1992 All-Star Game. Jim Cott will speak with the winner. Three-two pitch. Sinking fast and right, that's a hit. So the National Leaguers cling to life as Fernandez singles with 2 outs, sending Dalton to second. John Kruk. He singled in the 8th inning off Kansas City's Jeff Montgomery and scored on the home run by Will Clark. "19 hits for the American League, 10 for the National League."
I guess you thought with the count 3-2 that Dennis Eckersley was going to walk Tony Fernandez, right?
Not a chance.
No way. He has walked 36 batters in the last 4 years since 1988. Maybe the most remarkable control of anybody who's ever pitched when you think about it. What a string he has put together.
Kruk just did get a piece of it. It's 1-2. Eckersley this year has only walked 5 batters in 43 innings for the Athletics. Darren Dalton says it ain't over till the fat guy swings. And he was talking about John Kruk. He swung, but it's not over. He beat Eckersley to the bag. Dalton, the author of that statement, to third.
And 2 hits for the league's leading hitter. As a matter of fact, he leads the majors with that .346 average. Fine play by Chuck Knobloch. And a one-hopper to Eckersley. 2 close plays at first base this inning. But the National League with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
And Bip Roberts, who singled and scored on the Clark home run last inning. Well, the tying run is still in Encino, but the National League is trying to make it interesting. Norm Charlton is on deck. So if they're going to make a miracle comeback, it's going to require a hit from a pitcher because they don't have any position players on the National League bench. Only Lee Smith has failed to appear in this ball game for the NL. Just inside. Roberts up there with a count of 2-1. It's 13-4, but the bases are loaded for the National League with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. And there's Charlton waiting to hit in the on-deck circle. 2-2. Like many relief pitchers, Dennis Eckersley says he would rather not pitch in these situations where the game is so one-sided. It's much more difficult to concentrate. Roberts battling tough.
His pride's on the line a little bit right now, though. Bases loaded. 2-2 to Roberts.
Line drive, base hit. Dalton has scored. Fernandez around to score, and it's 13-6. Bip Roberts is 2 for 2. He might want the ball again.
Oh, we talked about expanding the roster, and it not being the most important thing on who wins and who loses. But Norm Charlton ending an All-Star game or batting to end an All-Star game with 2 outs, kind of ridiculous. Reminiscent of the 1981 All-Star game after the strike when Dave Steve was the second hitter in the 9th inning. AL won that game 5-4.
Norm, a Herculean cut, and he missed.
AL lost 5-4, I beg your pardon. Dave Steve, the hitter in the 9th inning.
Charlton's hitting .333 this year, but he's 1 for 3.
Managers, of course, trying to give everybody a chance to play, and that's the right thing to do.
Charlton strikes out, and finally it ends. The American League sends the National League down to defeat for the 5th straight year. That's the longest winning streak ever for the American League in All-Star competition. Pat O'Brien and Jim Cott coming your way. And we'll return to the 63rd All-Star Game after this message and a word from your local station.
Not long ago at
The 63rd All-Star Game from San Diego is brought to you by Cold Filtered Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks more people depend on.
Welcome back to San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium as the fans here trickle out after watching the American League win its 5th straight All-Star Game. And there you see the score, 19 hits, 13-6 was the final score. The National League made a little run at the end there, but it just wasn't quite enough on this night with the full moon over San Diego. And right now, let's go down to Jim Cott for the announcement of the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player. Kitty?
Well, to cap off this 63rd All-Star Game, let me turn it over to Kurt Ritter, marketing manager of Chevrolet Trucks, who has a nice duty. Kurt?
Thank you very much, Jim. And congratulations on a very exciting performance, Ken. On behalf of Chevrolet and all of its dealers, I'd like to present you with the Chevrolet MVP trophy, as well as an Astro van that'll be donated to the charity of your choice in your name. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we started the night off with a guy they called the Kid, Ted Williams. He threw out the first pitch, and then we saw Willie Mays, and here is the Kid who probably is the closest player to Willie Mays in the game today. Are you in awe by what you do at age 22?
Yeah, I just go out and have fun. I just want to help my team win, you know, no matter it be an All-Star game or the Seattle Mariners. I just want to go out and play, do the best job I can.
We're going to show some highlights of some of the knocks you got tonight, the feeling running around the bases when you got that home run.
Well, it was kind of weird because when I hit it, I didn't think it was going. And once it went out, the first thing I thought of was my dad hitting his in 1980.
Wow, that's a nice thought right there. And this has got to be fun for you. You look at some guys that you heard about when you were not playing this game as a kid.
Yeah, I watched, I've always teased Kirby Puckett about being my idol. And he says, no, you're my idol. So I watched Kirby growing up.
Ken Griffey Jr., most valuable player in the 63rd All-Star Game. Let's go back upstairs to Pat O'Brien.
All right, Jim, thank you and congratulations. Well, let's put it this way. Some people like to see a lot of hitting, but everybody likes to see the All-Stars. And the All-Stars have come and they have shown, and soon they'll be dispersed again around the Major League universe. Tomorrow, they and we will turn our attention to the second half of the season with all the wonderful possibilities and surprises that only baseball can provide. And so for Sean McDonough, Tim McCarver, and Jim Cott, I'm Pat O'Brien saying so long from San Diego Jack Murphy Stadium, where once again our final score, the American League 13, the National League 6. Be sure to join us again this Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Time when Major League Baseball continues on CBS with the Boston Red Sox against the Minnesota Twins. You've been watching the 63rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game on CBS Sports. home of baseball's biggest game, the League Championship Series and the World Series. His daddy did it in 1980. 12 years later, Ken Griffey Jr. keeps it in the family. And for one night, his dream of being an all-star has come true. In fact, even better. On this night, he's the best of the best. What were you doing when you were 22 years old? Good night, everybody.